Welcome to the Time Variance Authority. I'm Miss Minutes.
Wow. This is like episode 11 of Geeking Off the Page. It was supposed to be audio only, but now we got video. Miss Minutes, do you think we can prune this timeline?
Don't hesitate to let us know how we're doing.
In a world overrun with an infinite amount of multiverses, originating from a plethora of sources, four longtime friends band together to try to make sense of it all and present it to an audience in an easy-to-digest podcast. This is Geeking Off the Page.
Greetings, geeks. I'm Mike Kitchen, and I'm here for my weekly nerd therapy session.
Hello all, I'm Trevor Brown, and yes, I did the math.
I'm Gavin Burbage. I'm an idiot savant with a focus on the first part.
I'm Troy, and I don't think we're in Kansas anymore. So welcome everyone to the 11th episode of Geeking Off the Page, a collection of minded, yes, that's right, 11, and generally same-minded people from 25 years of friendship, going back to our college days where we reminisced about this sort of thing when things were a little more difficult to come by this sort of information. And we just would sit around in our free time, during our school time, during our weekends, and just talk the same stuff that we're talking about now. And we are generally talking about the good old days and modern days of what pulp culture is in the media right now. So what we're going to start off with is what we usually do every single week, except for obviously last week because of the whole entire situation, but everyone is live here. Well, technically no one's really here. I'm here and Trevor's there and Gavin's over there and Mike's down there. But what it is—
The multiverse.
It's the multiverse, yes, and we've come together in some sort of multiverse of madness. And we're going to talk about coming attractions. So we got a couple of trailers that came out this week, a couple that we can just going to skim by and just give quick opinions on it. The first one we saw was a cute little family animated. I'm sorry, guys. I've got to pause this for a second because my dog is yelping in the background. I'll be right back.
Give me a chance to actually catch up.
Hey guys, take over and do stuff with talking about Loki if you guys want right now. So I'll catch up with you guys later because I've got to take the dog out for a bit. So you guys go on. Someone else do the introduction. Hey, now we're going to talk about Loki. Season 2, Disney Plus. You know how it goes. I trust you.
That was a terrible decision.
Boop.
This is like a Naruto thing. Release!
Really committing to the bit there. You were actually starting to turn blue from oxygen deprivation.
I was about to unplug my Wi-Fi and reset it, even though Gavin was still talking. It's like half of it must not be working.
You're receiving a half signal. So
That signal. Now you can use your whole ass.
last night, one of Amanda's friends messaged her about halfway through the evening and asked, "What do I need to know about watching Loki?" And Amanda turned to me because, well, I would likely know. And she's a very casual movie watcher. So, fuck you, Trevor.
Shark
Is that
Head.
what you told her?
You told her to.
What do you need
I did
to?
say fuck
How
you.
is that supposed to get someone interested in watching you? Fuck you, Trevor.
I got her attention, so you watched it.
Obviously.
Anyway,
I can go on the movie poster. Okay.
Fuck you, Trevor.
that's actually kind of what her personality is like, actually. So she would say that too. So I compiled a list of must-watch movies to sort of at least understand what Loki is, and the internet more or less agrees with me. So clearly, Thor, the first one, has to be watched because it's where you get Loki from. The Avengers, where you see him doing the full-on supervillain, trying to take over the world. Which we watched Avengers actually last night, which gives me a lot more appreciation of the Loki ongoing series as it stands. So Dark World is next. Good or bad, Loki's still in it.
You could probably skip that one if you wanted to,
or at least
there's still some character development that leads up to the end game Loki, right? So, like it or not, it does give you some perspective on him. Thor Ragnarok, obviously, Infinity War, Endgame. To understand the multiverse and all of the the quantum stuff, you need to watch Ant-Man and Doctor Strange and all that. But those first ones were generally the ones that I suggested, and she's like, "Holy shit, I'm in over my head." And so she's like, "I don't know if I can do this." I'm like, "Oh, fuck off! You're studying a master's in theology. You can do this." So she's got homework.
That's all. Sounds like it. Do you guys want to go to the trailers, or you just want to jump into Loki?
Actually, you know what? Here, let me say something about He-Man since I missed that last week.
All right. Okay. Cool.
Okay, so He-Man. I thought that was one of the cheesiest trailers I've ever seen. But guess what? I like cheese. I like cheese on everything. It's like if it's a nice old cheese with a good aroma, right? It just gets into your soul and makes you happy. Okay, and Mike, that trailer did that to me.
Is it going to make you want to sign up for Netflix?
Yes.
There you go. Then it's perfect.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's my bar for any kind of trailer I see, is if it's on a service I have or don't have, is like, if I didn't have the service, would I sign up because of this?
Yeah.
Like Karate Kid made me sign up for YouTube Premium to see, Cobra Kai and season 2. And second they dropped it, I dropped the premium. Gone. Yeah. So every time I see like a trailer for Netflix or Amazon Prime, I think to myself, would I subscribe to the service to get this movie or this show? And that's my bar. And if I say yes, then I'm like, all right, this is worth it.
Yeah. And the big test for me was I showed the trailer to the entire family. Because I watched it myself. It's like, okay, let's see if this will become a family show. And everybody was into it. Even Erica. Erica is like, that looks awesome. I remember watching that with my brother when I was a little girl. And this looks way better. We have to watch it.
I just like the fact that Jason Mewes is Stinkor.
That's great.
Stinkor is going to finally be a character and not just an action figure.
Yep. It's perfect casting.
And somehow I just made my stand goal.
Woohoo!
Woo!
It was your inner Trevor that achieved that.
Yeah, he got up and left, and I think he came back. The He-Man trailer was enough to make me go, ooh, this is bringing back a lot of fun memories of action figures.
Yeah. And with my boys, because they're so Naruto crazy right now, we've just done that whole Naruto marathon. I was curious if something nostalgic from the 80s would get them into it. And they were like, oh, that Skeletor guy, he's pretty cool. So they were right in.
As I said last week, it's nice to see Skeletor using magic in an offensive way. Like he throws the shield and a couple of bolts. And it's great.
And then with Kevin Smith talking about when he was writing the script, he just has to write fight, or whatever. And then the animation studio just takes over. Because Mark Bernard, I guess, was writing all the theories. It's like, oh, well, this punch means this, and the block means this, and it's this character development. It's like, yeah, you actually wrote your fights. I just wrote fight.
just like in the old Star Trek episodes, they would just write technobabble and then have someone else fill it in.
Yeah.
And then Geordi says technobabble, Data responds technobabble, Picard says make it so.
Well, Geordi would also be the one saying, it's like shoving a needle into the backside of a haystack and it's all done.
No, it'd be Data like, but sir, to do that, we got to reroute the main Flector array through the John, out the cafeteria, and the replicators, and then through the warp drive. Geordi's like, I'll take care of it. Beep, boop, done. That whole complicated thing was 2 buttons. Sometimes I have to use the third one.
Yeah.
Preset.
At least Wesley
Macro
wasn't the
presets.
go-to every single time after the first couple of seasons.
Yeah, it's just the macro preset. Let's see, it's a Q situation. He's done something to Picard. Execute. There we go.
Shut up, Wesley.
Yes, that was the shut up Wesley button. Yeah, I'm chomping at the bit to get to Loki because I've watched this a lot. Also, the movie matchup looks kind of interesting. This one's actually, I think, of all the movie matchups we had, this might be one of the more evenly matched movie rivalry.
Yeah, this one was an easy one for me. I thought it was the which one was the Batman one? Dark Knight Rises, and I forget who that one was against. That's one I thought we would be split somehow, or someone would vote for Batman, but nope. It's pretty crazy. It's been all 4-0.
I think though the next series are going to be harder because it's all better films against better films.
Yeah, let's see which one shines through.
Absolutely.
And I was hearing what you guys were talking about last week about the tiebreaker if we ever need it, and it would be fun to have, like, even if we have to shoot it afterwards. Where we do like the phone a friend tiebreaker, and whether we roll the dice to see who picks their tiebreaker or what, but whether it's someone in the family or a friend, just
I'm not waking either of my sons. I'm just telling you now, I'm not waking Harrison. I'm not waking Fred. I'm not risking the punch through the face.
Yeah, I saw the crying bit.
Yeah, I'm
Stop crying. Stop
I'm
crying.
not coming downstairs and you guys telling me to stop crying and ask me who.
But the thing is, it doesn't even have to be at midnight. Like, it could be Sunday morning.
Well,
I have instant results. I mean, we have the tie, and then we have to go get the information because
or we could even pre-record somebody, like somebody pick a tiebreaker. See what
I could ask Amanda at 2 a.m.
And he'll tell you.
Yeah.
I could ask Amanda at 2 a.m. I mean, she has casually threatened that she'd cut a bitch if I did that, but you need to sacrifice something.
Yeah.
I've got 4 kids. I got nothing left to sacrifice. It's all gone. It's all worthless.
I wish I was dead.
We waited for you, Troy.
Yeah. Charles Bronson in Death Wish 8. I wish I was dead. Make sure those glasses are nice and clean, Troy. Vision is important.
Pro tip, don't use bacon grease.
Okay. Then it makes the glasses smell and taste delicious. Exactly. This will improve my vision, right?
No, that's carrots. Rub carrots on your glasses.
Whoops. I've been doing it wrong, Trevor.
Carrots were the whole thing about carrots and vision is all about World War II and the British.
All right. You want
to? It's how they explained how their pilots could get up in the air so fast, and they didn't want to let the Germans know they developed radar. So they said they fed their pilots carrots and improved their vision, so they would see the approaching forces, not letting the Germans know they actually had radar and could detect the planes coming in.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. All right.
And that's one to grow on. The more you know.
Exactly.
Trevor, the fount of knowledge.
Useless trivia. But I'm great on bar nights.
All right. So what is this? What are we recording at? What is the time right now?
25 minutes, 42, 43, 44, 45.
How come I'm not getting that up on my screen? How come I'm not getting a clock up on my screen?
No.
It shows that it's recording.
Upper corner.
Yeah, it just says recording, flashing dot. The other corner says views.
Well, then you're screwed. Are you full? If you're full screen, it may not
I'm
show.
at full screen right now.
Try non-full screen. Oh.
Nope, that's speaker view. No, I don't want to stop. That's my video. Don't want to do that. Pause and stop recording is right there. Nope. Okay, well, whatever.
Gravity works.
Yep. Okay, let's get that off the screen there. Okay. So let's start this all over again with, we can leave the intros that we got there and all that. So we'll just, I gotta take care of one other thing.
Or leave it on. We
I'll
don't
just
know the
avert my
audience.
eyes.
And you guys were worried about if I was wearing pants or not.
Like how you almost did the Sharon Stone leg cross there, Gavin. That's pretty good.
By means of a surreptitious wink.
You're supposed to show with both eyes.
I'm wearing an eye patch and I'm giving you a surreptitious wink.
Well, Troy's going to have some outtakes for this week.
No.
Oh, yes.
I feel like there's outtakes in every tip.
There's outtakes of outtakes.
Yeah.
At that point, they'd be intakes.
I thought it was pretty fun that my boys ended up doing that Naruto podcast.
Take that pencil and go. And put that
Yeah,
right
that actually
here.
is pretty cool. I mean, did they want to do that for a while, or did they just all of a sudden, hey, Dad's doing something, let's try something?
I don't know what sparked it. They've always go upstairs like bedtime, and the three of them just chat for hours and hours and hours. It's like their own little freak pit. And then they just decide, because they watch other people do fan theories and stuff online.
Right.
They thought, hey, we should just do it. And all the boys were into it. And the fact that he prepped the show with all his images to scroll through as they're talking and everything else. It's like, geez, if he did his school projects like that, it'd be amazing.
He'd be an A student.
Yeah.
He'd be graduating, get a scholarship.
Yeah.
Nice. No, that's good. That's good. Cool. All right. So a couple of the trailers we're going to be talking about today are just a bunch came at us this week. And one of the ones we're going to talk about is Ron's Gone Wrong, which actually has a theatrical release of October. There is actually no actual date itself other than the month of October, but it does state that it's actually being released to theaters. So what this is this is an animated feature, a computer animated feature, which is right along our alley, and that's more than likely one of the main reasons that we as a group are talking about it, because we are all at one point in the process of being an animator. I'm the only one that didn't finish school for it, but it is a feature that looks quite charming, actually, is what it is. It looks like a bit of a what would you say, Trevor? A bit of a like it's not a Pixar film, but it looks like a Pixar film.
It moves more like Warner Brothers, and maybe a DreamWorks.
DreamWorks, yeah. Like
actually, the character design has a lot of that Iron Giant look to it.
Yeah, that's where I'm getting the Warner.
Oh, it does.
Like
Totally.
where the ears go.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. It does. So anyways, it's in a world where everyone is given a personal robot to be their friend and companion, and basically it's a personalized.
Yeah, it's like a robotic assistant.
Robotic assistant. Yes. And our main character is given one that seems to be faulty. And yeah, got a bit of a lemon, and obviously hijinks ensue and whatnot. And I believe it's Gaffigan doing the voice.
Jim Gaffigan.
Jim Gaffigan doing his best Baymax impression. from Big Hero 6, but it looks cute. Again, being released in October of this year to theaters. And now one of the other ones that we actually finally are getting into theaters after seeing the trailers and it being pushed off for so long is we are finally getting one final trailer for Free Guy, which is, again, being released only to theaters, and that's going to be on August 13th. And it's the Ryan Reynolds video game movie that we've seen. This, like I said, this is the third full trailer, and I hate to say it, if you take the other two trailers, you can probably splice together the whole entire movie from these three trailers. This third trailer is probably the worst of them all because basically everything you haven't seen in the first two, they put it into this third one, and it's the rest of the plot points of the story. So there doesn't seem to be any reason to watch this movie other than watch three trailers, and you can figure out for yourself. Mind you, seeing this sort of thing on the... Oh yeah, no, I'm still Ryan Reynolds, no matter what, and Taika Waititi in it as well is kind of cool. But yeah, it looks amazing. It has looked amazing for the past year and a half that we've been promised that this movie is being released, and it's finally coming out for us. And again, this final trailer, like what you end up unfortunately having for most trailers, the rest of the story is revealed in it.
Maybe we'll have to know, like, we don't know until we see it. It looks like it gives away a lot.
Yeah,
but who knows?
I mean, I'm hoping some of the scenes in the trailer are not in the full movie, that they were maybe made for the trailers.
One can hope. One can totally hope. And if this is the type of project where you could do something like that. It's completely different when you sit down in the theater and like, wait, that's not how the trailer had and all that. And again, like you said, Mike, we won't know until we actually see it. I'm just saying,
if they did the trailer right.
Yeah. Well, I'm also just saying that each trailer revealed more stuff, it was more storyline sort of stuff, and this one had more stuff that it now brings in more of the real world. Like the first one was just about the video game world. The second world was the real world and the video game world crossing. And now this one is about the real world taking over the video game world, which seems to be put all three trailers together. And that seems like a full movie. Yeah, that seems like a full movie, that whole entire arc from beginning to end and all that. But that's neither here nor there. And again, like you said, Mike, we won't know until we actually see it in the theater.
At this point, I don't give a rat's ass. I will go and watch paint dry in a fucking AVX if I have to. I mean, I'll wear the damn 3D glasses to watch paint dry. 3-dimensional paint drying. I mean, I just watched the Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard on Thursday night, and I was actually almost emotional sitting in that theater. I'm like, oh my God, I'm back in a theater watching a movie. Like the last one was Tenet. That was like a year ago.
Yeah, that's true, because Gavin is in Vancouver, so everything's loosened up a little more. I think Trevor's got loosened up. Trevor,
they've loosened up a fair amount.
Yeah,
they're talking about, I think, start of July, they're going to allow concessions to start running full out. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, I've already got a list of movies for this summer I'm going to go see.
Yeah,
but I'm still going to be, I'll still be watching a lot of stuff at home as well.
And Gavin, what's the concession like in Vancouver? Are they concession stands open, or is it just?
Yeah, they were serving popcorn, bottles of pop, so no fountain pop.
Okay.
And poutine, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the only thing they were offering.
What's the capacity of the theaters?
They were sitting them roughly either 3 or 4 empty seats between like two set of 2 seats.
So that
sounds beautiful. That's the way I always want to see movies.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to see the movies with 7 or 8 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so it looks like it's at like the 30% or whatever it is, 25-30%.
Something like that.
I
think we are getting close to starting to get the masses for their second shot. Like we're a bit behind, but basically we've done so well in terms of the pandemic compared to other places that
Ontario. We're at 70%. We just had all mask restrictions lifted. Like pretty much, yeah. Like the theaters now, I think they can go above 80% capacity and full concession. So
they just announced this week that in Ontario, anyone over the age of 18 within 28 days of whatever your shot was, you can get your second shot. You don't have to wait. You just basically book some sort of thing. So basically,
here it's anyone over the age of 12.
Yeah.
They're just stabbing needles in everybody.
Exactly. Yeah. They can't give this stuff away.
It's like, what's that? Hey, you, sir. Ooh, gotcha. Next.
Did any of you guys have reactions to the first shot?
Oh, hell yes.
I got a little soreness in my arm, and that was it.
I didn't take it.
Yeah, we know you, Mike. We know. Yeah. You're holding out. Yeah.
Yeah, I had pains in my knees, my ankles, my hips, my one shoulder.
You got
it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad, but it was basically any place where I've had an injury before. It just felt like an achy sensation. It was the second shot that kicked my ass. Partly was my own fault because I had my shot at like 11 in the morning, and then I went and did a belt exam at 7 at night. And by the time we got to the board breaking section, the teacher comes over, he holds up the board. I'm like, I don't think I can kick right now because if I lift my foot off the ground, I'm falling down on my ass. He's like, okay, just punch the board. Then I'm like, that I can do. That I can do. And I punched the board, and I remember thinking, I'm about to fall over. So yeah, I belt exam finishes. I get out to my car, and I'm sitting in the car, and I'm thinking, do I have to call Meredith to drive me home because my legs don't work right now? So I use the cruise control up and down to drive home. Because I wasn't 100% sure that my right leg would respond to what I needed to do. Got into the garage.
This is turning into a Gavin with his head out the window story.
I sat in the garage for about 10 minutes thinking, can I make it into the house? I got into the house. And I got right upstairs, and then next thing I know, it was Monday morning, and that was on a Friday. Yeah, I was out of it. I just every time I moved, it just felt like pins and needles right into every joint. It was just, yeah. And about 30 hours, 35 hours, 36 hours afterwards, I was like, oh, it's like head breaking the surface of the water. Like, oh, okay, I'm not that bad now. And then Monday morning, I was 100%.
I got pretty hard with the first one. I didn't actually get any the flu-like symptoms and stuff like that. I just got hit with enormous levels of exhaustion. I got it at 6 p.m. The night before. Woke up at around 7:30ish the next morning. Started trying to be functional, and then realized as I discovered I had actually zoned out while trying to fill the kettle for some coffee. I woke up and I'm like going, oh, this isn't good. Okay. I had to call in sick. I felt like even though I got about 7 or 8 hours of sleep, I ended up needing at least another 5 or 6 more hours. And then by 6 o'clock the next that day, I felt perfectly fine.
Yeah, like I said, all I had was a little bit of pain for the one day, and I was fine by the next day. It was not bad at all.
Everyone's different.
For Meredith, her first shot, her arm was sore for like an hour, and then her second shot, her arm was sore for like 3 hours, and that was it.
Because she's tougher than you, Trevor.
Oh yeah, she pushed 4 kids out of her body. Of course,
I was totally gonna bring up the kids thing, and I thought, yeah.
I know. First kid starts pushing it, I just like take the scalpel and I'm done. I don't want that much pain.
All right, so moving on, we've got a couple of quick little TV trailers that were released to us this week. We got one for Titans Season 3, which is going to be airing on HBO Max, which starts in August 12th. And we also got one for Star Trek Picard Season 2, which is going to be on CBS All Access. And in Canada, we get it on CTV Sci-Fi, which is going to be released sometime in 2022. Now, I believe from our preamble before the actual show, we were talking about this and how some of us didn't see Titans, but some of us did. And Picard, we're not too sure if anyone really, other than myself, is actually interested in it. So let's start with Titans. So has anyone actually seen Titans to begin with?
I watched the cartoon Teen Titans, and that's one of my favorite series of all time. I have a lot of nostalgia watching that in California with my daughters. They fell in love with the characters of Starfire and Raven, or even dressed up as them for Halloween a couple of years back. So the original Teen Titans cartoon, it has a soft spot in my heart, because it brought the family together. It was a lot of fun. It was well done. And then when I saw Titans, it's like this dark, gritty, murdering people. I was like, nah, that's not for me. So I bailed on that one pretty early.
I'll back up your first part there. In just around college is when I was aware of Teen Titans, the animated series. Beautifully done show, amazing art, animation style and all that, and fell in love with the characters and all that. I knew of the Teen Titans to begin with from DC Comics and whatnot earlier in my comic book collecting. While I never followed it completely, I was aware of a bunch of the characters. When it came to the follow-up series to Teen Titans and Teen Titans Go, I really enjoy that series. That is quite a hilarious. It is one of those, looks like it's for kids, written for the adults, and it's fantastic. It's the same, which is even better, which is the same voice actors that did Teen Titans are also doing Teen Titans Go, which has been on for like 7 or 8 seasons at this point and all that. But when this series Titans came out, I knew it was going to be a dark and gritty one, and I watched the first season because it was we got it on in Canada. We got it on Showcase, so I was able to watch it regularly. Unfortunately, I didn't catch up on second season because I think I'd missed a couple, and then Showcase didn't repeat any of the episodes, so I never got around to re-watching the second season. But I might have to go back with it because the trailer that we got for this. Now I'm going to jump ahead if anyone else has
before you do a second season, give me a recap of first season because I didn't watch it, so I'm curious to see what you thought of that.
Okay, so before we go any further, anyone else? Gavin, what do you have to say about Titans? Or Trevor wants to say something, but Gavin,
he's waving his hands, but it's an audio podcast. So
I'm very much looking forward to it. The first episode where basically you see Dick Grayson go fuck Batman. Oh, okay. So I'm intrigued. Okay.
That's interesting because that's what tapped me out. I was like, he wouldn't say that. I'm done. So what did you think about that? What got you with that, Gavin?
I don't know. It just it felt like all of the superhero movies that were kind of being rebooted with dark and grittiness kind of thing, but there was always something that didn't quite mesh with it. But with Titans, it was dark and gritty, yet it actually kind of worked with what I was watching. Like that's really all I can describe it as. It is something just kept me watching.
So what got you for season 1 then, Gavin? Like,
what was that?
You said you watched the whole season, so like recap. Tell me what you liked, because since I tapped out, I don't know what it had.
I actually, I didn't collect a lot of DC comics, but one of the ones I ended up getting into was Hawk and Dove. Okay. And the two actors they used for Hawk and Dove were like perfect.
Right.
I was impressed with the casting. I did see the casting. I was like, okay, that's pretty good.
What's his name? Beast Boy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was. I really liked him too. When they had him, what was he in? Shit. The name of the other show.
This sounds like a terrible show.
Anyways.
Yeah, he was really well cast. I think all of them were rather well cast. Even Dick Grayson as Nightwing, I think did really well.
Okay, Trevor, go ahead. Before you explode on us, go.
All right. Well, the thing is when I saw the first promo trailer for it, And he says, "Fuck Batman." I'm like, "Yeah, fuck this." And also at the time, it was on the WB streaming network. And
that's right. Like, you would have been in the States. You would have gotten
a different. And I was like, I'm not going to sign up for this shit.
Right. Yeah.
And the thing is, they had just put Doom Patrol on HBO. Yeah. And I was like, well, I'll watch Doom Patrol, because I caught the first episode. They had it on YouTube, the first episode. And I was like, yeah, that's a pretty cool premise. And so I watched Doom Patrol seasons 1 and 2. And I was like, okay. And then suddenly, when the big merger with DC and HBO happened, they're like, oh, well, here's all the other stuff. And they shut down the streaming service and like, here's Teen Titans, or here's Titans. And I was like, okay, why not? I'll give 1 or 2 episodes a shot. And the first episode, it was good. It was the interesting way they introduced some of the characters like Starfire and stuff. And I knew because they had the list of all the titles, episode 4 was the Doom Patrol. And I was like, I'll hold out till episode 4. If by the end of episode 4, I'm not hooked, then I'm done. And yeah, by episode 4, I was hooked. So I just kept watching and watching and watching. And they introduced Jason Todd. They introduced Donna Troy. And I got all the way to the end of the first season. And I was like, oh, hey, look, season 2. And jumped right into season 2. And so, yeah, when I saw the announcement for season 3, I was like, all right, I'll just keep watching, because it's a fun enough show. I mean, they do some of the grittiness that they're trying to do to make it feel real, but at the same time, they also realize this is a superhero show with people with fantastical powers. It can't be as real as like watching like Law and Order, because people can shoot like laser beams out of their eyes. And if that happens in Law and Order, I think that people are going to be going, what? So yeah, they came to that point. It's the first episode started out with them trying to be Law and Order. Like that's what it kind of felt like, that grittiness, special victims unit. And then by the second episode, they were like, wait a minute, we got a guy who transforms into tigers. So we need to pull back on the ultra grittiness, because it's just the two feelings just don't mesh. So yeah, they kind of pulled that back and let us understand that there's characters with fantastical powers. Yeah, Hawk and Dove were amazing.
That is also for me too. That's a high point. See, like Gavin said, I had a very few amount of issues of Hawk and Dove, but seeing them up on the TV screen was exactly like stepping off the page. And again, like the rest of the cast, they're very well suited to these roles that they're portraying. So, yes.
Does it stay dark and gritty, or does it turn fun?
No, it doesn't turn fun, because there's stuff going on. Like the last episode of season 1, they introduced the clone of Superman.
Okay.
But they don't, you don't really get into that character until season 2, but they keep things moving along. Like it becomes a far more interesting show as it goes on, because you realize these characters, this is after they've had the first iteration of the Titans, and things went to shit and they all split apart. So they now all have their own lives, but they're being drawn in because of things are going on. Stuff's going on behind the scenes. You got Trigun going on. So they pull a lot of the elements from both the comic book, and it feels like from the animated series. They borrow some of the stuff they use in the animated series and bring it live action.
Here, I'm going to share my screen. This is the show that I want to see. And this is a case where I think cosplayers do it better than Warner Brothers Studios. If this is what the show looked like, I'd be in.
No, and I'm 100% behind you on that one too, Michael.
I would too, but initially I was like, the girl they cast as Starfire, initially I was like, really? But honestly, after her first episode, I was like, that's Starfire.
Yeah, the characters become their own versions of the characters that you know of, and they become like you said, the Starfire girl becomes, by the time you get, like, they do a really good job of filling out the universe that they just introduced to you in this first season. It's very well fleshed out season. By the end of season 1, it is a very well fleshed out, and the possibilities are practically, they're open-ended as a comic book.
I feel like every episode they hit the ground running. They're like, there's a story there, try and keep up. And then as the episode progresses, you do get more of that information, but they don't spend a whole lot of time in flashbacks to kind of like, shoveling origin down your gullet. you just kind of pick it up as you go, and there's a quick flashback, and you're like kind of like it filling in a little puzzle piece, like you're playing Tetris, and before you know it, you've got all the information, and the episode has kept along with a story that made you race to keep up with it, but also filled in some of the character elements, and you feel like, all right, I saw something worthwhile.
All right, I got 3 endorsements, so
Yeah,
I'll check out a couple episodes.
Yeah, each episode is a full meal. Get yourself through that first episode, Mike. Whether or not you enjoy the first episode or not, give yourself a second and third episode, and I guarantee you'll want to continue on.
Yeah,
I will caution you though.
It took me 4 episodes to get hooked.
Oh, I heard a caution.
It is violent, like hawk and dove fights.
Oh no, yeah, no, for sure. It is okay. You know how the Arrowverse, the WB Arrowverse, those shows like the Flash and those, it's the late night version of those shows. It is dark, it is gritty, it is violent. Yes, it is very violent. It's not
works, though.
Yeah, oh no, it totally does. It totally works for it.
Yeah, that's what turned me off for the characters, but with your endorsement, I'll check out a couple episodes.
Do yourself a favor, Mike. And like I said, I've got to get into second season because this trailer for third season starts off with someone strung up on a pole with a Joker smile on his face, and I'm like, fuck, they're introducing the Joker.
Well, the second I saw Jason Todd show up, I'm like, all right, when does he get beaten to death with a crowbar? Yeah, I'm kind of waiting for that, and I have a feeling season 3 is going to deliver.
Yeah, so I mean,
but you have to have Batman for that if you're going to do it right.
They do.
Oh,
Batman there, but he's not a main. He's not.
No, he's not.
We don't follow Batman.
No,
but he kind of shows up every once in a while.
Yeah.
All right, that sounds pretty good.
Also, do you know who actor Ian Glenn is?
Nope.
Game of Thrones. He was the guy who had the love for what's her face, Khaleesi, but she kept sending him away because he effed up.
Oh yes, Mormon.
Yes,
that's Batman. That's Bruce Wayne.
Wow.
Yeah,
but we never see him suit up as Batman.
No, we see him as
just
Bruce.
See him as Bruce Wayne. And the thing is, he's Bruce. He's playing Bruce Wayne, and everyone kind of knows he's Batman, and he's playing the persona of Bruce Wayne. But every once in a while, you can see kind of like the facade slip, and you see what he would be like as Batman, like that level of seriousness, and just the whole total room, just everyone just kind of like stops, almost like you're in a room with a tiger, and everyone gets solidly still because they're like, "Holy shit! Don't let the tiger look at me."
Yeah,
that he plays that to perfection. He keeps the happy Bruce Wayne, and every once in a while that mask slips, and it's like, now you're dealing with Batman, and you're like, oh shit, yes, I can see that. That's why season 3, if Joker's going to show up, this is going to be fun.
That could be a winner then.
Yeah,
if they go that way.
When I first saw his casting, like they cast him as Bruce Wayne, I was like, really? And then I saw an episode with him. I'm like, yes, that was a great decision.
I thought the exact same thing. Like, wait, who are they getting to do Batman? Oh, he's not playing Batman, so to say. So yeah,
and they have like Mercy Graves. It's awesome. It really is.
Now let's all watch what Gavin's doing. What are you putting on there, Gavin?
Don't you worry about it. Don't you worry about it.
Series of duels between
I'm just checking to see how many seasons of Titans are on Netflix right now.
Well, it should be it might not be on Netflix anymore.
Yeah, I think it'll be on HBO.
Yeah, it'll probably be on HBO now.
HBO bought.
Oh, it is? It's still Netflix?
Netflix bought the international rights to Titans.
Right. Okay.
Gotcha. So in the States, it's probably on HBO Max.
Yes. And like they haven't introduced Lex Luthor, but they introduced his dad. So
Lionel, yeah,
Lionel Luthor, and then we see his right-hand woman, Mercy Graves.
Yeah.
It's interesting how they're kind of skirting around Lex Luthor without actually saying, "Hey, here's Lex."
Yeah.
Same thing.
So both seasons are on Netflix right now in Canada.
They're skirting around Superman without actually saying, "Here's Superman." Yet. So
excellent. All right. And then Star Trek Picard season 2. Whatever. Let's. Well, okay.
I just hope Q fixes the series. If he can do a snap, rewrite the entire first series, and make it good, I'll be happy. Because,
I don't know,
like we said before, Q and Riker, That was the saving grace for me. I loved the Data moments, but I think they ruined him story-wise as a character. I think Brent Spiner did a great job, but I didn't like where the character went. But Hugh was amazing until they killed him, and Riker was kick-ass right until the end. So if Hugh can rewrite it, everything else, Picard turning into a Golem, get out of here. I don't want to watch Picard season 2 with Picard Golem. So Q fix that, and then I'm in.
I kind of like in the trailer 7 of 9 waking up and then goes to the mirror and realizes she doesn't have the implants.
Mm-hmm.
Right. After all those years, Starfleet couldn't get that stupid eyebrow off her head. It's like, what kind of glue are they using on the set of Voyager?
Speaking of good Star Trek series, anyone watch Lower Decks?
I have not watched it.
I'm going to say no as well.
I did see that they cast the characters and designed the animated versions to look the same.
Yes.
So that they could potentially go into a live action. And that sounds fun.
Yes.
The Lower Decks season 1. I was expecting Family Guy in space, basically. There's a lot of crass humor, but holy shit, does it really take the Lower Deck characters and just flips it on its side. Really funny, great, some really surprisingly good stories, and I mean, the entire intro kind of sets the pace. It's basically their ship is clearly not the Enterprise level of excellence. So every shot you see of their ship, it's either running away from danger or it's it's directly causing something to explode. So if you're a Star Trek fan, I really recommend it. They've really made it something worthwhile watching. And I mean, hell, the final episode of season 1, it was as good as some of the live action Star Trek Next Generation episodes.
Wow.
Well, we've already had Family Guy Star Trek. That's the Orville.
I was just going to say, if anyone's seen Orville, that's my favorite Star Trek that's come out in like 20 years.
Let's see.
Wait, when was Galaxy Quest?
I was about to say, let's find out.
Quest
Galaxy
more than
Quest,
20 years?
that's my favorite.
Although I got to say, I'm super pleased with.
Damn it! Just out of the 20-year range.
Just out of the 20-year range. Okay.
Yeah. Now, what's funny is, was it Patrick Stewart who said Galaxy Quest is his favorite Star Trek film? Someone has.
I don't know. Keep talking. I'll Google it.
Or I can't. It was someone like one of the main cast of Star Trek Next Generation that said
it was Patrick Stewart.
I think it was Patrick Stewart who said it's his favorite Star Trek film.
He didn't want to go see it though. He didn't want to see Galaxy Quest. Someone finally convinced him to go see it, and he loved it because he thought it was just taking the piss out of Star Trek.
It's true, according to Google.
Yeah. So yes, it is. Yes, according to Google.
Yeah.
It's all true.
You couldn't do that back in the Freak Pit days. It would just be week-long arguments, but now you can just Google it and find out who's right.
Yeah.
Then download it and watch it for yourself.
So we also have some other stuff coming out for Star Trek television. Anyways, we got New Frontiers, which is
Anson Mount, the best Pike I've ever seen.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
the pretty much the only Pike I've ever seen aside from the original, but he played it so well.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I haven't watched that yet.
Yes,
I haven't watched it, but everything I've seen of the character, that's the only thing that makes me want to watch that series.
Discovery takes a lot to get into it. You have to basically forget. You have to forget everything you know about Star Trek and just start watching it from there.
I tried so hard to get into Discovery, and it just every episode you're just like, oh. The whole time you're thinking, do the people who write this were they hiding in a cave and just don't understand? Never saw an episode of any of the Star Treks at all. It's, honestly, it's like Rian Johnson writing for Star Wars. It was, it felt like that. Like they're like, oh, do you have all this stuff about Star Trek? Let's push this to the side. I'm going to start my whole new thing all to myself. And
right, like you can tell Seth MacFarlane liked Star Trek. Right,
yeah.
Which is why anytime I looked at any clip of Discovery, I was like, I just want to watch Orville.
Yeah, exactly. I was the same. I mean, like Mare loves the Orville. Like she would make time to make sure that we had a chance to either watch it as it was being broadcast, or we DVR it, and she'd be like, oh, let's watch the Orville now. Yeah, Discovery was just like someone writing Star Trek episodes who had no clue and never watched a single episode of Star Trek.
And no interest.
Yeah, exactly. It was what's her? I'm trying to think. There was a Star Wars novel. Barbara Hambly. It was about.
Oh
Luke.
yes. Oh, son of a bitch.
Split for the
It
Mind's
is.
Eye? Is that the
No.
No,
This is
that's
a much. This is a
This was
Timothy
before we
Zahn
saw-
era.
Oh.
And like, not even at the end of the first chapter, Luke takes like a head wound and can't access the Force because she didn't want to write about the Force because she thought it made the character too powerful.
Jeez.
The novel, I can't remember what it is. Is it Twilight of something or something?
No, I can't remember.
Oh
but
my
the
gosh.
whole novel,
What was the writer's name?
Barbara Hambly. The whole novel,
Good.
Luke can't access the Force, so he doesn't want to ignite his lightsaber because he's afraid he's going to hurt something. And it was just like, this could have been written about any other genre.
Oh, it totally.
Just
it's
substitute names.
Exactly. It's totally like she wrote a kind of a cool space sort of story,
Yeah.
and then
did,
thought
like, a
I can make more
name-searching
money.
word.
And, yeah.
And replaced names and then just added
Yeah.
the Force here and then rewrote the first chapter to give
Yeah.
Luke his head wound and done.
Yeah.
That's exactly what Discovery feels like. Someone had written something about a science fiction thing and thought, I can
Mhm.
shoehorn Star Trek in there somehow, but I don't want to change anything. I'll just add the name Star Trek and Starfleet and stuff. That's what Discovery feels like to me.
And I will not put you down for that. I'm enjoying the series because I've actually gotten involved with some local Star Trek groups that have gotten me into it and whatnot. And I actually got on friggin' CTV Sci-Fi to do some stuff because of Klingon makeup and costumes. I built a replica of one of the new Klingon costumes from season 1, and I got to go on air to do like interview stuff with one of the other Klingon members that I belong with and all that. And so I've enjoyed the series. I mean,
So you're saying you like it for selfish reasons.
Oh, totally. For sure. It's kind of neat because it's shot locally. It's shot in the Toronto area. I know people that have worked on building the costumes and all that. Me and Adrian's boss has worked on making those Klingon costumes. And there's a tutorial out there that I know how to actually physically make them and all that. But, and it's kind of neat to like, hey, I know that area. Hey, I've seen that area. Oh, move those trees around and whatnot. But it's kind of neat.
Okay, I'm coming.
Just a sec.
Well, I have to say, I'm with Troy. I very much enjoyed Discovery. I know there's a lot of people out there that are basically saying, "Oh, it's not real Star Trek. It's too touchy feely. It's too."
But people like me and Trevor.
Yeah, pretty much. But I mean, there's a lot of heart in that series, and I really like it. There's always like kind of like a moment for each character to shine. Captain Soru, the actor who plays him,
Doug Jones. Doug Jones.
Yeah, Doug Jones.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Easily the most expressive actor I've ever seen, with like basically latex spackled on him.
It's Abe Sabian from the first two.
The eye creature from Pan's Labyrinth.
From Pan's Labyrinth. Yeah.
Yep.
Doug Jones.
So whatever crazy, weird looking like monster, Doug Jones has probably been.
He's the undersea creature from the
Shape of Water.
Shape of Water. That's Doug Jones. Yeah.
I never got to animate him on Hellboy.
That's right. You worked on Hellboy. That's right. Yeah.
And I always wanted an Abe Sapien shot, but I never got it. So I did a lot of the swimming tests for the Samael, but I never got to do him.
Gotcha. Yeah. So that Doug Jones is this and all that.
Yeah. And I like just some of the ideas that they brought in, like the whole spore drive concept. To me, I love the whole process of it. Them going to Code Black and spore driving somewhere. it felt like something new from Star Trek. Like we've seen so much in Star Trek that if you watch Voyager, it's always or Enterprise, it's always something similar to what they've established. They've got transporters, they've got phasers, or what they call it in Enterprise, they call it the the electronic plates or something.
Yeah,
it was always
so they
something.
didn't have energy shields yet.
Yeah, but I mean, it was always something that was based off of something very familiar with Star Trek. So with Discovery, they introduced something like a completely new idea in terms of getting around the universe, and I was just kind of spellbound from day one. Season 2. Now, if you intend on watching any of the first season, there's some really neat stuff that happens at the end. But season 2 brings in Anson Mount as Captain Pike, while the Enterprise is going under a refit.
That's the thing that I'm interested in. What's the best Captain Pike episode? I would definitely watch that.
There's an episode where they have to go to one of the Klingon worlds, where they have to find a time stone, and actually Pike sees his future, where he ends up in the chair, and it's his choice to either go back and change it or continue on by taking the time sphere or whatever it is, and then realizing how his life is going to end up and how he has to continue on for it to happen. It's a beautifully done episode because it's not Pike centric in this episode, but it shows how much his character is a Starfleet officer. He knows what his duty is. He knows he has to get this, so that one thing has to happen so that something else goes. And we're introduced to a young Spock in this series of Discovery, who turns out to be the stepbrother of adopted I guess she's the adopted daughter. So
this sounds like a Spaceballs thing.
It's a little more confusing. Like, so
sisters, brothers, formers, roommate.
Yeah. And what's that make us?
Absolutely
nothing. Yeah, I mean, we're introduced to a Rebecca Romaine, who played the first version of Mystique. Plays Pike's number one, who is Roddenberry's wife in the original Cage episode of the original classic Star Trek. So she's introduced, and now there's a new series which is going to spawn, like I said, the New Frontiers, and it's going to be the adventures of Pike and the Enterprise before it gets handed off to Kirk, with Spock as the science officer. Yes, yeah. So a young Spike and a number one, and so far that's the character's name, number one. She hasn't been given a first name. She hasn't been given the last name. She's just referred to as number one so far.
First name number, last name one.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Which would be kind of neat if that actually is how it turns out. But so that is also.
We named the dog number one.
We named your daughter's first name is Doctor.
But agent. Yes, exactly. So I mean, Star Trek's not dead anytime soon, and there's a bunch of it coming to it. Again, it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, just like everything else is not everyone's cup of tea. But I'm enjoying the hell out of what they're showing, and I'm looking forward to seeing Picard season 2 because John DeLance is fantastic.
Hey, my boyfriend.
And it looks like it's going to be a fun ride. So
I'm gonna watch it. I like the first season. Not particularly pleased with how they wrapped everything up in a nice little package, but I'll see more.
Yeah, same here.
I trust Q. I'll let him fix it.
Oh, and it looks like that could be what's going to happen. It's Q comes in, and then it's a young. Apparently, they traveled back, like Star Trek 4, back to Los Angeles in more modern day to us, sort of at one storyline. I've seen some behind the scenes stuff, and whatnot.
Every time.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Oh, Gavin.
Bye, Gav.
Oops.
Should we do a collective goodbye to Gav? Goodbye, Gavin.
Why did that just happen?
All right.
That's okay. It's still audio.
We can still hear you though, Gavin. That's okay. After that, we have a couple of extra things that we can talk about. We've seen some set shots or some costume cover-ups for the new Obi Wan series being shot currently for Disney Plus. There's not much to actually tell. There's a couple of characters, one Imperial officer, one Stormtrooper, and Ewan McGregor dressed up as obviously Obi Wan Kenobi, all covered in black cloaks over whatever they're wearing underneath. Nothing too spectacular, but like Trevor said earlier before, that he believes it's all fake.
All fake.
It's all fake. Yeah.
It's all fake.
No, we're getting something completely different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see Ewan McGregor back as Obi Wan Kenobi. I was amazed when he was cast in episode 1. I was not a fan of the prequel trilogy, and I always wanted to see him in his element as Obi-Wan Kenobi with a story that I could get behind. And if we get that, and after seeing Mandalorian, I think we will, if we can get that Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan Kenobi the way I had hoped it would be, I'll be very happy.
Oh, for sure. I think
I hope he takes the garbage bag off and takes the face mask off. I mean, I am hoping that.
My biggest hope for that whole series is we don't spend a whole lot of time watching him creeping out on Luke Skywalker in the distance.
And I hope he doesn't milk like a Wampa or a Tusken Raider or something.
And drink out of the spike.
And milk on a Krat dragon. Yeah, we could do without that.
It's milking Rancors.
Okay, so no, not gonna go there. No, I'm not gonna say it because no. So we also had speaking of Star Wars, we had the latest episode of the Bad Batch drop, and now seeing I'm the only one watching it right now, I'm gonna report back that
I'm caught up.
Oh, you're caught up.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm caught up.
So this is the episode where the storyline changes. It now turns into basically a bounty hunter has been introduced and is taking the girl back. We found out who actually hired the bounty hunters, and the guys now have to get the girl back. So that's basically what it is. The bounty hunter in question is Cad Bane.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's as soon as the ship lands and the door opens, it's like, oh my god, and then it's all in. They do it in a silhouette reveal. And you see the brim of the hat, and I'm like, "Oh, please be Cad Bane!" And then, yes, it's Cad Bane. So
still not. It's still not enough to pull me back.
Well, it's kind of neat that it turns out it's the Caminos that have hired the bounty hunters to get Omega back, not the Imperials. And the Imperials are just out there to hunt down with the help of Crosshairs to hunt down the Bad Batch themselves. So the Bad Batch are being hunted by the Imperials, and the bounty hunters are hunting down.
It was kind of obvious that the Caminos want Omega back. She's going to be the genetic source to revitalize the clones, because they'd already talked about how the source they had from Django has already started to degrade so much that the clones they can't produce of any quality. So obviously they made Omega as a female because she's going to have unfertilized eggs inside of her. They can harvest those, and that'll give them a whole fresh genetic template to start with.
Spoilers.
When you think it through, it doesn't.
That it is a logical explanation to go to.
Does the
That's
Jedi
also
ever
why
come
they
back?
need her alive, because they have to be able to harvest the eggs from her to pull the genetic material, the fresh genetic material, and keep the program going.
But does the Jedi ever come back into the series from episode 1?
Who? Well, he does technically when he shows up in Rebels. Yeah.
But not in Bad Batch. Like he doesn't interact.
Well,
with them
no,
at all?
he's still a kid in Bad Batch in hiding. The character goes into hiding for about 10 years before he resurfaces as
I was hoping he would show back up in the Bad Batch at some point.
Well,
I thought that would be fun.
There is a chance that he could. There is a chance that he could. There is a chance that because there is a chance that the Bad Batch would be the only other team that he would. That and if
he's probably on some sort of sun planet like Tatooine, getting a really dark suntan, so he can kind of match up with the rebels.
Well, if he shows up again, let me know.
Okay, you'll be the first. You'll be the first person I call, Mike.
Make me the second, because make sure it's worthwhile for me to get back into the Bad Batch, because so far I'm still not hearing any reason to.
And the rest of all our listeners.
I just like to say that I thought it was quite a feat for the Bad Batch to essentially use a Starship engine to essentially neutralize Crosshair.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So after that, we also got again, Hulu in the US has released all the episodes, but here in Canada, we're measly getting one episode at a time on Disney Plus Star, and the next episode of M.O.D.O.K was dropped on us, and it's going right along the way it has been from the get-go. It has been a surprisingly dumb and entertaining series, and it's offensive. It's sometimes even cringeworthy. I mean, I wasn't expecting to see that many manatee corpses in this episode, but there you go. There's a whole entire room full of them. But it is quite the entertaining. And again, if you're a fan of like the robot chicken sort of
was this
deal,
if bureaucracy be thy death?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
I know where you're at.
Yeah.
I'm trying to follow along with where you guys are and go back and watch episodes.
Yeah.
So I couldn't remember if you guys were on 5 or 6.
Yeah, this was 5, I believe. Yeah, I believe this was episode 5.
Yeah.
But
episode 5.
Yeah, but just I mean, there's nothing more to say than it is entertaining and dumb.
It is very entertaining. I'm going to spoil a bit and say the next episode, you might want to go to the bathroom before you watch the episode, otherwise you will piss yourself laughing.
All right, challenge accepted.
Endorsement.
Yes, 6 was such a hard left in a very funny way that I was like, what? And then if you thought 5 had some really shocking moments, 6 is like, we can do better than that. And they try. They try hard.
Hold my beer. Is it one of those hold my beer?
Yeah, it's one of those. Oh, that was shocking. Here, hold my drink.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you shocking.
Okay. All right. So that about wraps up everything else. Now for the one of the main reasons that we're actually here this week is Disney Plus has also done something else to us, and they've decided to grace us with the greatness that is Loki, the series. And you know what? I'm just going to take a backseat on this. And we had a lot of stuff given to us in this second episode of Loki. We had a lot of exposition. We had a lot of storyline, character development, and a lot of Easter eggs. You're talking research after watching an episode like this. And if you didn't do research after watching this episode, you did not watch this episode. Okay, you may not have done the research, but if you didn't want to do the research, then you didn't watch the episode. I mean, if you were like, what was that all about? If you didn't have questions about what all that was about, then you definitely didn't watch this episode. Who wants to describe what happened in the episode? Just give.
I'll start with what.
Yeah, I'm bowing out.
I'm just gonna
sit on my hands.
What you were talked about research, and this is what started me off. End of the episode, we finally see female Loki, and I was like, "That's not right. The casting is wrong for female Loki." And here, I'm gonna do a screen share on here. Sorry for the audio listeners, but like I had a very specific thing in mind for female Loki based on its cosplay and stuff that I've seen and from the comic books. And if the female Loki doesn't have the long dark hair and the big horns and the long dress, it just doesn't seem right to me. And so I was thinking for the podcast, okay, I'm going to pull up some research on what female Loki should look like. And then you start seeing who the character could be. And then suddenly it's like, oh, that could be perfect casting. And that's where my research started. I don't know if anybody else wants to go from there.
Oh, yeah. So I watched this episode the first time all the way through the credits, like all the way through the credits. And they even talk about, in the English, it says variant and it has the actress's name. And it hits the Spanish and it says Sylvie. And I'm like, what? Because I read a lot of the Thor comics, and I remember a character, Sylvie Lushton, who Loki gave basically a version of the Enchantress's powers to, which included mind control, a whole variety of powers. And I was like, Sylvie. So that's where I started my research on. Unfortunately,
and speaking of mind control, Trevor, that was one thing. It was like, I don't think Loki has mind control powers. You always use the staff and the mind stone.
You use the mind stone and the staff to take over minds.
And then you see the Enchantress can do that.
Yeah, she kept doing it with touch, and you'd see their eyes flash. And there's, and so when the name popped up, Sylvie, I was like, because Disney's had a problem with their international markets kind of giving things away, like the toys from Hong Kong or whatnot. They end up giving stuff away, like giving away information. And when I saw that, I was like, Sylvie, they didn't, because I rewatched the episode almost immediately, and I was like, they never say her name. And she's got the little horns, but the Enchantress had a similar head garb that she had. I don't remember if it had the horns,
but she also faked being like Loki's daughter or something like that at some point.
She did a lot of things. And it was just, that's where it was like, is this female Loki, or is this a version of the Enchantress, or a combination of the two?
I would love it if Marvel does the fake out on us, because we've always talked about this in other podcasts, where you get the hero and they fight their evil clone. And what's more of an evil clone than clone Loki or alternate dimension Loki? But if they swap it out on us and make it an Enchantress, and these writers seem smart enough to do something like that. It's like, hey, let's set this up. Now let's twist it on you.
Exactly. That's why I was like, second I saw the name Sylvia, I was like, this it should have just been like Loki or female Loki or something. And the fact that they gave a name Sylvie was like, wait a second, something's not right. So I think someone in the Spanish translation department didn't get the memo, or they got a memo they shouldn't have got. So
but that idea makes me so happy.
Yeah. So that's the part A of the research I did. And there's like, B through, I had to get into double letters and triple letters and make up my own alphabet. Clemp.
So Troy and Gavin, what about your research?
Okay,
Clemp.
So to begin with the actual episode, when I asked for a description of how the episode goes on before we get to the end of the episode, seeing we're going to be talking, so we're doing a time traveling thing, so everything's timey-wimey.
The whole thing's about time travel.
Wibbly wobbly.
Right, we can just insert a time bomb here and you can reset the timeline. That's fine, Troy.
Exactly. So we actually start off at a Ren festival. And some information about this is something that I learned directly from the woman sitting next to me in the room, and how that is actually an existing Ren fair that runs year-round, actually.
No, not year.
Not year-round?
I think that one's one of the longest running Ren fairs.
It is one of the longest running. So it's a permanent location.
Yeah, they do it every year. It's annual. And it's one of the biggest ones in the U.S.
Yeah, which is, of course, it's in the series is being shot in Atlanta, Georgia. So that's where it is, which is kind of neat to find out that is an actual. Hey, it's easier than having to build the set. The set's already there.
And watching the episode, I thought that was interesting because at first, sorry, Adrian, don't cry.
Oh, Ben.
When I was watching the episode, I thought it might be some alternate reality because, like, why is there all this medieval stuff in 1985? But this should be the main timeline, and I was very confused about that until I realized, oh, it's a Renaissance fair.
Yeah, Renaissance fair. Yeah,
like that's the nature of the show, to just twist your brain and get you all confused and mix things up.
Yeah,
and the fact that it was 1985 and Mark Miller did a comic book called 1985, And then the Holding Out for a Hero also came out in 1985.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
So it's neat how they just take all these elements and bring them together.
Yeah.
I can recap the episode if you want.
If you want to, we can. How about we recap it as we go and throw in our.
All right. So they go to the Ren Fair.
Right.
And Loki. We reveal Loki's first plan of double crossing the TVA.
Yeah.
Which goes against what I thought about him being the anti-hero, because it's like, he might still be villain.
He stalls. He gives this whole thing about this is what I would do, and basically he stalls, and then they kind of figure out he's stalling, and they're ready to give up on Loki, but Mobius like, let's give him a second chance. And then you're going to do some research, and bam, here's some research, and that's where they figure out that the variant Loki, Lady Loki, or perhaps the Enchantress, is hiding in apocalyptic events.
Genius idea.
It is. It's the idea is, if you're in a doomsday bit of timeline, you can do whatever you want. You can keep going back to it just before it happens, and they're not going to see any timeline branch that would have started instantly gets squashed, so that they're never going to find you. So
this is where they go to Pompeii, which is
Pompeii in 79 AD, just before Vesuvius erupts.
Yeah.
This is where we learn Loki can speak a lot of languages, including Latin.
Yes.
And he, hams it up, and it, the happens, and they take the reading, and no variants discovered.
And he frees some goats. That was one of my favorite parts.
Now, a fun little thing about the Latin is there's another Marvel character who can very famously speak Latin. Anyone? She's got a movie coming out, Black Widow.
Oh, really? Really? Okay.
In Iron Man 2, they list out all the different languages you speak, and one of them is Latin. And they even make a thing of no one speaks Latin.
That's
and
right.
At one point, she says something Latin to Tony. And so that means in Avengers, she and Loki could have conversed in Latin in that whole interview back and forth.
Oh, that would have been nice, yeah.
But they didn't.
They didn't. Or did they? So anyways, so they figured they're going to track down Miss Loki at that point, and they go to Roxxon?
Rocksmart.
It's
like
a division of Roxxon,
which is a variant of the comic book one. It's like the Roxxon made a Costco in the future.
Which is kind of a nice throwback to which of the TV series had Roxxon?
Oh no, it was in Iron Man 1. Roxxon is basically a competitor with Stark Tech.
Yeah, but there was also, I think, was it Iron Fist or the Defenders had Roxxon Corp as well?
Oh,
I think the Defenders, because they were.
Yeah. Oh, was that the one against? Yeah.
Yes, I think you're right. I think you're right with that, Trevor. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Roxxon showing up there. Also, I believe one of the Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man, in a long shot of the city, you see a building with
more
Roxxon.
than likely. Yeah, more than likely. Yeah.
Anyway, so they go to a mega Costco. That's a subsidiary of Roxxon.
Being used as a fallout shelter.
Yes. Which doesn't really, and it's a hurricane, isn't it, in Alabama? Maybe my geography's off, but wouldn't a hurricane in Alabama be damaging to other places more?
Well, you saw how much the water had come up on the actual land.
Guess,
I did some research into hurricanes, though, and what was it, a category 8 in the show? And standard measurements go up to 5. So, if it's
maybe.
If it's beyond the realm of human possibility that we've ever seen before.
Yeah, something goes wrong in the next 30 years for them to increase
at some point. Anyway, the teams go. Loki's part of them. They split up as usual, like the Scooby-Doo gang. And Velma and Daphne, Loki and the chief security officer end up getting separated by happy circumstance, and that's where we're introduced to various people that have been mind controlled by the female Loki / Enchantress, and some a little bit of fisticuffs and a little bit of wrestling happens.
Also, don't forget, she also refuses to be called by the name Loki. So
yes, she doesn't. That was one of the key things, that maybe she's not a Loki, maybe she's the Enchantress, but she has set up hundreds of time bombs, because in the scene where they pull back and it's like you're on the ceiling looking down, you could see rows upon rows upon rows upon rows upon rows, of time bombs.
I got something for that.
lots and lots of time bombs. And
42. There's 42.
Exactly.
Right.
There's 42 in that shot where they do the whole entire, where you see them all on those shelves and it all lights up. There's 42.
Like the universe and everything.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then we find out that she has activated the charges, and each one has a little portal drop, and the bomb goes in. And then we get a quick glance of all the different locations and times that she is sending them to. And then she opens a door, steps through, and Loki, you got Mobius and the crew's running at him saying, Loki, Loki, and he jumps through the door with his female counterpart. So, or after his female counterpart. We don't know if he's going with or just trailing her. And then the episode ends. And then we get a nice credit montage with some altered credits.
Yeah.
We get to explain something. We find out that Loki weighs 525 pounds. He holds it well. And then we get the English credits and then the Spanish credits, where Mike and I had to end up doing a lot of research. Is that a good enough recap?
Yeah, that's pretty good recap.
Gavin, what did you research?
Well,
grilled cheeses are tasty. That's what I done research.
Nothing I found could be as thorough as what Trevor has done here.
Hey, I am not going to claim
I very much enjoyed the episode. Having recently watched The Avengers, actually just a couple of nights ago, it really kind of refreshed my mind on how much of a bastard Loki is before the whole redemption side. So like, this is primetime Loki being the biggest dick he can, and basically looking for every single possible way around his circumstances, and right up into doing salad mutilation.
That was amazing.
Oh, come on. Why are you doing that? Come on.
I was going to eat that.
What do you say? That's a lousy metaphor.
Yeah.
What about when he immediately tries to kill Miss Minutes? That's like, oh, yeah, maybe he is still a villain.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, having Miss Minutes being an actual character is actually, like, I was not expecting that, which was fantastic.
Now, did you guys notice after he tried to hit her a couple times, when Mobius calls him to leave, on the screen it says test failed?
Yes. Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
So Loki actually failed the test that he was answering the questions for.
Yeah.
And so while he did watch the videos, he did not pass the test.
No. Well, at least this particular test. Some of the other things that I did some research to just point out one of the things, like that's an actual cola that existed in the 90s. The Josta, Josta, Josta.
Yeah.
Josta Cola, which was like, it was like a Jolt Cola. It was an extreme caffeine, high sugar drink that was pulled off the shelves after, I think, a year and a half of being on the market in the 90s. So that's what Mobius is drinking all the time, a high caffeinated, high sugar drink.
It just opens up the idea that they constantly go through these time doorways.
Yeah. Exactly,
buy a couple cases, bring it back to the TVA.
Yeah. Exactly.
I did like when Loki corrected them on how his magic works.
That was great.
That was
difference between an illusion and a duplicate casting.
Yeah.
And that then harkens back to how he was able to fool Thor so many times, because you got a duplicate casting that looks like you can, interact, but is at the end it's just an illusion.
There's the time that Loki turned himself into a snake.
Yeah.
And because he knows how much Thor likes snakes, and he picked him up, he turned back, stabbed him.
So there's stuff there's things like when they get to the superstore and he dries himself off, and she's like, "What was that?" He's like, "I'm drying myself off so my shoes don't squeak like the rest of you loud ones." Stuff like that just,
the writing is so good.
It would make sense for a character who has access to those powers to do things like that.
Oh, for sure.
Also, and now he's back in the world. He has his magic again.
Yeah.
So he's going to use it.
And the fact he's doing the force pulls now.
Yeah.
I was happy to see that.
Yeah.
Because we've never seen that in the movies.
No.
But he does have that power, as far as I know, in the comics, right? He's able to do things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, did you guys catch any of the Easter eggs on the Judge Ravona's wall of trophies?
I not really. I mean,
Yeah, I didn't pause it and zoom in
me
for any of that stuff.
Me personally, I didn't, but I have heard a couple of things because I just let's see what YouTube says about this, because I have no idea what that actually is.
All right. So one of the things that jumped out at me was there is a timekeeper's helmet that says A23. Now, if it was like A113, I'd be, the animation department at CalArts. A23 is the first appearance of Kang the Conqueror in Avengers 23.
Okay. All right.
Kang is going to be a very big part of Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yes.
Quantumania.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's already been cast. And
he's already been cast. So they're kind of and things. Kang he's a time traveler. That's his whole shtick, is he's constantly traveling through time. So for him, the TVA, he's probably a nightmare to them, because he is constantly jumping through time, because it's almost like he's an embodiment of the time stone. He is time in a way. So for them to be able to control him is almost impossible. Maybe the 3 space lizards can control Kang, but the police force can't. He probably has like diplomatic immunity from the TVA. So they just basically, they let him do his thing and then just clean up the messes behind him.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, there's did you guys see 372 when Loki's doing his research? There's the big long shot and the table, and in the background a giant number 372.
Yeah, which is the comic book reference
to Thor Volume 1 issue 372.
Yeah.
Again, TVA.
Yeah.
They are using so many of these little Easter eggs as callbacks to the comics. It's amazing.
Now, the other thing about this is that you don't need to know any of this. Like, you can just watch this. You can just watch this series as it is, straightforward. What's on the screen, like, and still be entertained.
Yeah, exactly.
The deep dive that nerds like us, like geeks like us, that are doing. That's what this show was written for. But it is also so beautifully written that you don't need to know every single thing to go into the series. Yeah.
Now, what's nice is Thor Ragnarok talks about, in Ragnarok, it's the destruction of Asgard. Loki pulls up the paperwork on the destruction of Asgard, his home planet, like his homeworld, the place he grew up most of the stuff. And that's what triggers him to look after Doomsday events to hide in. Yes, yeah. Gavin?
Well, Troy, it's funny you mentioned that. We were talking about this earlier when Trevor was doing his rapt, attention face. A friend of Amanda's texted her to ask her, I want to know what I need to know before I start watching Loki. And so Amanda turned to me, and I basically gave a list of the Marvel movies that provide enough backstory to Loki to understand what is happening in the TV series. And it turned out to be roughly 9 movies out of the 23 cinematic Marvel Cinematic Universe movies.
Okay. Yeah.
So notably, it was Thor, obviously, the Avengers, Dark World, which, as I said before, whatever you think about it, there is still some Loki plot development, character development. Thor Ragnarok, Infinity War, Endgame, and then to understand the quantum realm stuff and the time travel stuff, you need to see Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, and Ant-Man and the Wasp, just to get that understanding of how they got there. So there is some stuff you need to know. Like, for entertainment purposes, watching Tom Hiddleston do his stuff,
that's all you really
phenomenal.
Need. Yeah.
But to understand what is actually going on, or at least to have a better idea of the situation that he's involved in, you gotta do at least some research.
Yeah, true. But again, this series is so smartly written from the get-go is that you can walk into this blindly and not know anything because it gives you all the recap. Loki, seeing the best of Loki's greatest hits in the opening episode is enough to know, and just the emotion that plays on Hiddleston's face as he's doing this sequence is just brilliant. I mean, it's just at this very moment, this is probably going to be the greatest thing we're going to see from Marvel for now, because like they've done it so smartly, and I'm enjoying the hell of it. But like we said, there's so much more to this episode to deep dive, and I think we're going to hand the reins back over to Trevor, because I think Trevor has done a little bit of research on the dates of the time disturbances that the variant has sent the.
Before Trevor starts that, I'm going to jump in because I have something about Judge Ravonna.
Oh,
so apparently Kang and Ravonna, there's like a romantic relationship, and we know Kang's going to show up eventually. And that also ties into the Black Knight, which we know is going to end up in the Marvel Universe soon.
Yes.
So that's just even more of a deep dive into history.
That was it. But it was the judge. It was the judge. I completely forgot about that. I found that out today as well, that her and Kang have had a prior relationship. In now, whether or not they will do that in the MCU, but in the comics,
they're setting it up as like the story is there and it's all set up. So, anyways, back to you, Trevor.
All right, take it away, Trev.
So I did a lot of still frames and got a lot of the times and dates of that we see when
everything goes to hell.
When everything goes to hell, and the female Loki / Enchantress is sending all her time bombs, and we get a partial listing of where some of these are headed. And there's a lot of places on Earth, and there's a lot of places in the Marvel universe that these bombs are being sent. I'm going to touch on the Marvel places first. Now, in those ones, it's kind of harder to figure out what the date means. Like Vormir, where the Soul Stone is held, is like April 23rd, 2301. So we have no idea what's going on there. Others are Asgard, February 16th, 2004. That could be a variety of things. That could be because we don't get to see Asgard until was the year 2010, I think, is the first time we see Asgard.
Didn't you research this, Trevor?
Some of them I didn't, because it's harder to research some of the Marvel planets, and I that's the one date I don't have in front of me. I just said Asgard, but I didn't put in the date for the first Thor movie. Anyway, 2004 could be a whole variety of different things. She could be
2011 is when the Thor movie came
so
out.
that's
so it was quite a bit earlier
7 years
than that.
before. So that could be taking out any event,
stopping Thor before he actually becomes Thor. Like he's
actually he's 1,500 years old. He's been Thor a long time.
Well, yeah.
I mean, he was there at the Vikings, back in like the 11th century. So,
but that's where the dates get interesting, because there could be hidden meanings in all these numbers. Like we don't know what the writers had in mind.
In Sakaar, that's where the Grandmaster is. 1984 could be when Valkyrie shows up. I mean, I'm assuming she showed up long before, but it could be something important happens in 1984.
Or it could be 1984 based on the novel, and they just threw that in because the TVA has a lot of that element to it.
1382, it goes to Ego's planet. We don't know what happens in 1382. He could have been there on that planet at that point, or he could have been doing his women.
Well, he is the planet.
Yeah, but the thing is that could be, when his person, like his consciousness not effectively on the planet at that point, send it there, destroy the planet, that destroys him, and then boom, all the way down the line.
That's when he went off into space to be like Captain Kirk.
Yeah. 510051 Hala, the Kree world. As I said before, that could have been when they first turned on Supreme Intelligence. That could have been a variety of different things. And then 1001 Xandar, that could have been the start of the Nova Corps. That could have been, when they got some piece of technology that allowed them to, tilt the scales against the Skrulls or the Kree or someone else. So for the Marvel universe, we don't know what the dates mean, but the locations are more important.
And it does tie into what the technology is for each race. Like
exactly.
they these races are whatever thousands of years ahead of
it's when
humanity.
some important event happens. The thing is, these are all races that tie into the Avengers, and specifically the Infinity War and the Infinity Gauntlet. Like a lot, like Ego, Xandar, Hala, those tie into Captain Marvel. Those tie into Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
So this is going to be, you're going to see this ripple effect through, Infinity War and Endgame.
I believe Nowhere is listed in that list as one of the ones.
He was in one of them.
Yeah. Nowhere isn't listed, but Titan is 1982. Titan, Thanos' homeworld. That could have been when he decided to do his scorched earth policy and kill half the population of whatever planet he's going to. That could have been the date or the date before that his planet, goes to hell, and we see this what it looks like when the some of the Avengers show up. So these are
Here we see Nowhere. So on the screen hanging from the ceiling, and the small text on the top, right above Niflheim is Nowhere.
Yeah. There's no actual date, but it just says Nowhere. Yeah,
but something is going on.
Niflheim isn't that hell? No, that's the dwarves.
That was like where Loki came from, isn't it?
No, that's Jotunheim.
Yeah, that's Jotunheim. Yeah.
Niflheim, I believe, is the dwarves.
Yes, the giant dwarves, right?
Yeah, and then Svetalheim is the elves, the dark elves.
Elves, right.
But then we have the human locations. You have Lisbon, Portugal, 1492. And it's March 31st, specifically March 31st. Well, March 31st, Ferdinand...
Sorry, cutting in. Google research, Niflheim is the home of the frost giants.
Okay.
According to my Google search.
All right, because Jotunheim has always been listed as the frost giants. Anyways, March 31st, Ferdinand and Isabella of Spain, the king and queen of Spain, expelled all the Jews out of Spain unless they converted to Catholicism on March 31st, 1492. Yep. That's a huge date.
That's one that I myself did that one, so yes.
Thornton, it's 1551. I couldn't find anything. I think Thornton is actually a Marvel made-up town, but I couldn't find anything concrete on it. I saw some speculation online of what it could be.
Well, it says 1551 Thornton, USA, which didn't exist in 1551.
No, did not exist back then. So I'm guessing it's more of like the coordinates of where that town will eventually
either where it currently is or it was. Exactly.
And there's some theories like it could be a Viking town at that point.
Yeah, because it would be
which
Thor,
could become Nordic. And
Thor's
town.
You got Rome, Italy. That's when there was a transition from one pope to another.
Yeah, there was a bunch of popes, though, wasn't it? They were trying to.
Yeah. It was a pope off.
A cacophony of papal people.
Rome, Italy was. I'm sorry, not Rome, Italy. Is it Rome? No. Sorry, Colombia. Was French troops occupy the Papal States on the February 2nd, but I couldn't find anything concrete for Colombia. Some of them are a little bit harder. Hopefully they'll be explained. Porvoo, Finland was the same. The big one for me was September 21st, 1947, New York, USA. So World War II was ended in 45.
Yeah.
47 would be the SSR, the formation of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, yes, of course.
If you
oh my God,
drop
yes.
a time bomb just before S.H.I.E.L.D. becomes an official thing. Like this is when Peggy Carter they're just trying to get S.H.I.E.L.D. off the ground. This is the transition from the SSR that was established in World War II to the S.H.I.E.L.D., which is the peacetime unit. You drop a time bomb there, S.H.I.E.L.D. never happens. S.H.I.E.L.D. never happens. There's a huge amount of stuff that goes on without S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right, yeah.
So that would be a huge one. Then you have like Tokyo, Japan, Beijing, China. The one that jumped out at me was Kingsport, USA. Kingsport, USA is not a Marvel reference. It's a reference for H.P. Lovecraft. Just because I read a lot of his books, there's a story called The Terrible Old Man. And it happens in Kingsport, USA.
Nice.
And I'm maybe the writers just threw it in there. Maybe there's a Lovecraft, fan in one of the writers. but it kind of, it's a nice little what was the comic, it's like one of the Dark Towers kind of Stephen King pulled reference from, Tower of Shadows.
Okay.
All happens in Kingsport, USA.
Okay.
And George R. Martin did all sorts of weird kind of stuff like that, like Lovecraft stuff in Game of Thrones. Like these writers pull in that mythology and inject it in.
George R. R. Martin also wrote a series called The Wild Cards. He was the chief editor, but
superhero
also
book.
And the superheroes, and it starts way back, just basically around World War II, I believe, and then rewrites history along the way, sort of thing. And he pulled a lot of Lovecraft stuff into his. There was like a giant space swarm. It's like a giant, basically it's like a giant yeast that can turn into different things, and it sends a swarm of like Lovecraftian monsters. And there's a huge invasion in New Jersey, kind of like the War of the Worlds. And so he was a huge fan of Lovecraft. It's an interesting series. I highly recommend it if you like superheroes and you like alternate history. It's kind of cool.
And you are right. Jotunheim is the Frost Giants. Niflheim is the Dark Elves. It's a dark, frosty thing. I should have known that. Trevor knows all the stats.
There's just a lot of useless information crammed in my head, and sometimes
we can tell.
But so when I saw the dates pumping through, there was just I was like, where are these things going, and what are they stopping? What are they pruning to cause a branch? Because then when you see that scene and you see the sacred timeline and you see branches and just hundreds of branches showing up, you're like, these are what the time bombs are doing. What did they erase? So when I saw the New York one, it's like, imagine SSR. Now the thing is it's kind of like in real life. The USS or the USA had the OSS, the Office of Strategic Services, or the OSO Social, which eventually became the CIA. But at the end of World War II, Truman said, I don't want yet another, secret service. So he axed the OSS. He's like, your guys are done. You're discharged from service. Get out of my sight. By the time the Korean War started, they're like, oh crap, we actually need people. We need a secret service that's looking outside of the US, because they had the FBI, and the FBI was mainly concerned with the US and South America. They had no one watching China. They had no one. And so they formed the CIA from whatever remnants of the OSS they could pull back in. And that became what we would now known as the CIA. In terms of Marvel, they did SSR turns into S.H.I.E.L.D. and S.H.I.E.L.D. becomes, same sort of thing. But that specific date could have been when they were making that transition from SSR to S.H.I.E.L.D., drop a time bomb, S.H.I.E.L.D. never happens, Hydra reigns unchecked. And
a question for you guys. What If is coming out soon. Do you think the TVA will show up at the end of each episode and try and correct the timeline?
I hope so much. And I hope at the same time you got the Watcher just kind of like laughing to himself in the background. So, that was a lot of my research on Loki.
All right. And again, there's so much more to do. This episode is just chock. This is one of those episodes where if you want to deep dive into a single episode, this is the episode to do it. I mean, this is what you have to do.
This is dropping down the rabbit hole and saying, fuck the parachute, I'm going.
Yeah. And this is what I was hoping from Falcon Winter Soldier. I said this before, but there's so much opportunity to expand these characters. But I'm so glad, like WandaVision did it. They did it well. They took us, the Marvel characters, into the cinematic world of television and through the years and gave us a good story. Falcon Winter Soldier could have done that with the whole spy, espionage, super soldier. I think they went the wrong way. But this episode, we're only 2 episodes in. But if you want to take a master class on how to do a TV series right, based on 2 episodes, this is it.
Yeah, and this is setting up, 2 more movies easily that are already in the works. You got Spider-Man, and actually 3: Spider-Man, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange, yeah.
This is, you will probably be able to watch those movies without having watched Loki, but I think we're going to get more out of it having watched Loki.
Oh, there is no doubt.
The head writer, Michael Waldron, who did Loki, He was asked in an interview, since he's also doing the new Doctor Strange movie. It's like, so are there elements in Loki that you're going to incorporate into the Multiverse of Madness? It's like, I hope I'd be smart enough to do that.
Yeah, so it's stuff like this that, as I said, we'll be able to watch the movies fine. This is just going to give us a better appreciation of what we're watching and a deeper appreciation of what we're watching, which I think is what we're lacking with Falcon and Winter Soldier, because it doesn't matter. I mean, we're not going to see elements from this show appear up in the movies, because the characters.
Unless it's Captain America 4.
Unless Captain America.
But even
4,
still, I don't care.
Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, 2 episodes and they've already set up 3 movies.
Yeah, no, it's
the one thing when I saw the space time bombs, I was thinking Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Mm-hmm. What the hell could that be?
Exactly. I just want to say, I kind of want to see that now. I have a theory on the 3 space lizards.
All right.
Mainly because as I was delving through all the different research, so in Asgardian, lore or Norse mythology, you had the Norns, the 3 Norns, past, present, future. In Greek mythology, you have the 3 witches, past, present, future. In
Scrooge.
Well, no,
the Ghost of Christmas, past, present, and future.
In Greek mythology, you also have the maiden, the mother, and the crone. Muse? The maiden handles the past, I think it is. The mother handles the present. The crone handles the future. She's the one with the shears that cuts off people's lives. You have the 3 spaces. I mean, even Catholicism, you've got the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, past, present, future. You've now got these 3 space lizards who are handling time, past, present, future. Are they all working at the same thing, or are they each with their own specific task that they're working on? So you got the guy who's keeping the past
our favorite person.
Running smoothly, the guy who's running the future, or the present, making sure that's smooth, and the guy who's trying to untangle the knot that is the future as it's coming down the line. Mm-hmm. And they have the TVA to kind of give them a hand when shit goes wonky. But so, and the thing is, if you're Loki and you get to meet the 3, which of the 3 do you want to meet the most? The guy who's been handling the past, the guy handling the present, or the guy handling your future? So, yeah, I thought about that when I was going through. I was like, oh, the Norns, there's 3, and I was like, oh, Greek, there's 3. Catholicism, there's 3. The space lizards, there's 3. It just seemed kind of very convenient. Keep showing up that number.
This ghost spirits at the end of Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, exactly.
Whoa, mind blown. And Star Wars reference. Good job, Troy.
I was waiting for Trevor to get to a quiet moment there and just throw it in there as fast as I could.
You were waiting a long time.
Mm-hmm.
It's rare you get a quiet moment from me, especially if I get worked up about something.
Exactly.
I can talk faster.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're like you said, we're 2 episodes into a 6-episode series. There is no way we're going to find out what happened to all those time bombs. Yeah. There's no way that they're going to reference. We'll probably maybe a montage, or maybe there'll definitely be this line's been fixed, this line's been fixed. So we went back here. It'll all be like in passing reference or something.
It could be
that.
People just shouting out like those, like such a thing. That's that bomb did this. We've got it fixed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think it's going to go way more to hell than that. I don't think anything's getting fixed at this point. Like, this is the new Infinity War as far as Marvel goes.
Unless you travel far enough back to stop her from getting the time bombs in the first place, then everything will kind of fix itself, wouldn't it?
That's probably what. Because
you need a Phase 4 Marvel Cinematic Universe, and this is setting it up. Kevin Feige knows what he's doing. How do you beat an Infinity War? Well, how about shatter all time and space? Yeah, that would do it.
That'll do it.
Multiverse of Madness, which is the title of...
Yeah. Yeah. So are you saying...
We gotta get to Black Widow.
Well, we all know that Black Widow takes place well before any of this actually happens. So
yeah.
Well, hopefully she'll get through alive, won't she? She'll be okay, right?
Yeah, she'll be fine. You'll be fine. Yeah.
Oh, Old Yeller's gonna live, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At this point, they could all
sure thing, son.
We're just gonna pause the movie with 5 minutes to go. You go to bed now. Whole dealer's okay, right? Yeah, he's fine. They gave him a pill. The foaming stopped. He took a drink of water. He's good. All right. Thanks,
Okay.
Dad.
Stop crying, though. Stop crying.
Bambi's mom's okay, right? Yeah, she was just sleepy. She needed to lay down. We'll just pause the movie there.
All right.
Alrighty then.
So what we can guarantee is we'll definitely be sticking around for the next episode for sure.
Yeah.
And it does sort of kill us that we record on Saturdays and the episode drops on Wednesdays. So, I mean...
But it is fun with the amount of deep research that Trevor has to do over those few days.
Time. If this thing came out on Friday, there'd be stacks of books behind me and hair frazzled and glasses askew. And,
flipping through the pages. Wait a second.
I coffee.
Let me just point out that by the time Trevor was messaging our group chat, I had gone to bed just before his first message, and I woke up. He had watched it 3 times already.
You gotta know the material.
That's why he's part of the quartet, Gavin.
Yes. But the thing is, I also like the announcement that from going forward, Disney Plus, all new shows would debut on a Wednesday, movies on a Friday.
Yeah.
And I look at that they're kind of like they're padding their numbers. You remember Blockbusters would be like, oh, we're early screening is on Wednesday, because that's just padding their weekend box office gross. Mm-hmm. So this, I think, is just kind of padding their viewership numbers.
And I was also thinking, most people are working from home these days, but if you go into the office and you have something to talk about every week, a Wednesday is much better than a Friday night, because you come in, right, Adrian?
But exactly.
You go into work on a Wednesday and you have 2 days to chat about it and wait until the next week. And it builds the hype because people are looking at their computers, they're talking to their coworkers, and it gives you something to be excited about.
Exactly.
Water cooler conversation.
If your friend comes in Thursday morning and says, oh yeah, I caught Loki last night. Did you see it? And there was this and this. And you're like, oh shit, I'm gonna have to go watch Loki.
Yes.
That pads the number so that, by Sunday night when they do their cutoff, like how many people were watching Loki, that's more people. Because the other thing is if on a Thursday, on a Friday night, I get home and look, oh, there's like an episode of this, there's an episode of that, an episode of this. Oh, and then there's this 2-hour movie. I may not get to get through all of that in a single weekend.
Yeah.
But if I can get through a couple of show on a Wednesday, a show on a Thursday, and then a movie on a Friday or a Saturday, overall, all their products get more views.
And seriously, who looks forward to Wednesdays? Nobody. Now everybody does. Yes.
Yeah, now I do. Now I'm like, ooh, Wednesday. I'm beaten up from Taekwondo from the night before, but ooh, Wednesday.
So that wraps up the main portion of our talk about Loki. So more about this next week. You guys all coming back for next week for the next episode? Yes?
I think it'll be possible.
All right. So, yes. What is that? Wait, what?
Season 10, episode 1 is called X.
Okay. I see that.
But
yeah. It's
season 10 of what? If you're going to talk about season 10, you have to say what episode or a show.
It's
what are we talking about?
Criminal Minds.
What?
Oh.
Criminal Minds, and Adrian is devastated because they add Jennifer Love Hewitt to the actual cast.
She can't act.
And yes.
But her boobs can.
It's season 10.
They used to be able to, but she's gotten older.
I don't understand why. Like, hello, nerds.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, no. Season 10, episode 1 called X. Yes, it is.
Speaking of Jennifer
Love
Hewitt,
Roman numeral. The Roman numeral.
Tuxedo on TV today, and it was like, oh, hey, Jennifer Love Hewitt's in this movie. Again, not a great actress.
No. Jackie Chan's pretty good in that movie.
He's. I swear he must have back problems from carrying a lot of the movies he does.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Any of his American movies.
And yeah, I mean, oh God, by the end of the movie, he's just me like, oh God.
Yeah.
And that's part of the outtake stunts is him rubbing his back.
Okay, so Trevor, how long have we been recording?
2 hours, 5 minutes, 1 second.
Okay, do we want to just, because there was what? I was gone for about 15 minutes, right?
We can keep going.
Yeah, we just chatted and I talked about He-Man.
Well, no, I'm just saying, do we want to push off the box office showdown until next week?
No, let's get this done.
Let's do it.
We'll do the box
get this
office.
done.
Okay, I was just saying.
And Trevor wants.
You're just going to have a little bit more editing to do to chop up some of the dead spaces.
All right then. All right.
And stop goofing around.
You got this, Troy.
I can goof around with my camera too.
Well, no, because I am sitting. Okay, you guys have got the proper chairs. I am sitting in this stupid wooden chair, and my ass is killing me right now. So
get yourself a pillow.
We just need some donations. If somebody could donate and
get Troy a new friend. It'll save your ass.
Troy, well, wait. Go get yourself a pillow.
No, I'm good. I can tough it out.
Just sit on Adrian's lap. Adrian, sit down.
I'll sit on Adrian's lap for the next half hour. All right. So that's going to bring us to our next portion of our show, where we have our box office showdown, and we're doing round 8. So what we do is we go to Box Office Mojo, and we take the listings for the actual gross total box office input of any sort of intake, of any of the movies. And on the top 100 list, we have pulled off the top 16 comic book themed movies, and we, like I said, just are down to round 8, and that brings us to the movies of the number 8 position, which actually on the list of 100 is at the 23rd position, and that's 2018's Aquaman, which is had brought in $1,148,485,886. And the movie that it's going to be going up against is the number 9 position, which is, that's right, is actually in the 25th position on the top 100, and that is Spider-Man Far From Home from 2019. And that brought in a mere $1,131,927,911.
They weren't even trying.
Yes. So as we discussed last week, this is the Aquaman is actually only the 5th DC movie out of the top 16 movies. Everything else has been Marvel. So we'll start off with, what do you guys want to start with? We're going to go Aquaman or Spider-Man? Which do you guys want to talk about first? Okay, Aquaman it is. So we're going to go with the Arthur Curry, the human-born heir to the underwater kingdom of Atlantis, goes on a quest to prevent a war between the world of the ocean and land. So this is a James Wan production, directing with, we got Jason Momoa, and we got Amber Heard, and we got Willem Dafoe, and it is a 2-hour and 23 sort of smorgasbord of a movie. It's basically James Wan decided, hey, let's figure out what we can throw at this movie screen and see what sticks. And they throw everything. Your guys' impression of the movie?
Jason Momoa carried the damn thing, chewed through scenery like it was like beef jerky. And generally speaking, it was damn entertaining. I had a lot of fun with it. Unfortunately, it was bogged down in a sea of very mediocre DC movies before that, and it was against everything else out there. It still just can't compare. And I had fun, but not enough to watch twice.
Really? Yeah. I found that it was actually quite entertaining, and I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of what's her face, Amber Heard. I don't know why she would have been put into this role with that Ronald McDonald colored wig that she had, but I was quite entertained. It was the comedy was on point. The action was fantastic. The special effects, the underwater effects were beautiful, because not only was a lot of the stuff digitally redone is the difference between how it was shot and how they did the final effect and all that was fantastic. The Indiana Jones-esque storyline was a thrill to see. I mean, throwing Aquaman in the middle of a desert, why the hell not? I mean, you're only going to see it in a movie like this. Now, I don't think it's fair to say it wasn't that great of a movie just because it was surrounded by other bad movies. I mean, you got to take it on its own. I mean, Jason Momoa, yes, is an entertaining, charismatic. You can't take your eyes off him. And yes, he does a lot of scene chewing, but that's Jason Momoa. He just, wherever he goes, he's the thing you look at when you're on the screen. The only thing you wouldn't look at is if he's in a movie with friggin' Dwayne Johnson. I mean, that would be a tough thing to figure out. Who the hell am I going to pay attention to? Dwayne Johnson or Jason Momoa, right? I mean, even in, like, I'll even go back to Justice League. And we're talking the original theatrical cut. Jason Momoa was the thing to watch in that. Even though it wasn't that great of a story for Arthur's character, it was Jason Momoa was the character to watch. He was the comedic relief that movie desperately needed, and there wasn't enough of it. But in this movie, where he is the main character, you understand what he's going through. You understand his need not to be part of this world that desperately needs him to be part of their world. The story of his being raised by his single father and his mother being queen of the Atlanteans and whatnot. I mean, I thought it was a heartfelt story that was entertaining from the get-go. Was it dumb? Yes, it was definitely a dumb movie. It was entertainingly done. I enjoyed it. It was colorful. A lot happened in it. It was nice that the movie didn't seem like a 2.5-hour movie. That was another saving grace of the movie. But who else wants to say something?
Mike?
I'll say that I didn't watch it.
Yes.
Now,
that was beautiful.
It has been on the TV in my house, and I have seen parts of it, but it never captivated me enough to watch the whole thing. Now, I don't want to see Khal Drogo in the ocean movie. Like, it's just not for me. Now, if you look at Jason Momoa, like during his Baywatch days with the short hair and all that, it's like he could easily be Aquaman. But they decide to go, and there is a precedent for this in the comics where he did get the long hair and the beard. But what's Aquaman doing with,
that much
like
hair?
Rob Zombie? Yeah, you're getting wet, dude.
Like, they want to get away from the Super Friends version of Aquaman.
But the thing is, one of the things that got me interested with the movie was when I saw the redesign where he actually has the proper Aquaman armor. It's like, oh, this could be something. Yeah. Because it took it away from the Zack Snyder version and turned it into something that sort of, aside from, the Rob Zombie hair, it looked like Aquaman. And I was cool about that. And Black Manta, the fact that they got that character design right. Like, for me, a big thing is just the visual design. If the director is smart enough to get the character designs right, that gives me some faith in what they're going to do with the movie. And they were able to pull that off for me, but it just never quite captivated me enough to watch the entire thing.
Mr. Brown?
It was 2.5 hours long. Honestly, the pacing could have really been tightened up. It was long, and it didn't need to be that long. I like Momoa as Aquaman. I think he fits the character in terms of who he is. This movie came out after Justice League, but there were elements in Justice League that they just kind of like, oh, we'll just conveniently ignore that. Like, he had already met up with Amber Heard's character. Why does she have to introduce herself again? Why does he have to act like, who are you? I've never met you before. The fuck you didn't. You there was a whole fight, remember, with Steppenwolf, and you were fucking there, and so was she, and you said, oh, took a hard hit, didn't you? And she spoke back. So it's not like you don't react like, who's her? Who's it? Me have lots of beer. Who her? I remember sitting in the theater like, of course he knows who the fuck she is. And then we established in Justice League, he's not speaking to the fish, he's speaking to the water. And the water speaks to the fish. There's a whole interaction with Batman. But you speak to fish? No, I speak to the water. And then we get to this movie. No, I speak to the fish. It's just, what about that whole? Because it was more interesting that he spoke to the water itself. But no. Let's just woo.
It's fun when the Joker and Loki do stuff like that. But
yeah,
the hero does that.
He just seems already established something, and then we just woo throw it away. This movie also suffered from they didn't know who to make their villain. You had Black Manta trying to get his revenge for the death of his father. There we go. That could have been the movie. Oh no, we're like, let's shoehorn in Ocean Master, who is a character with the exact same fucking powers. Did no one learn?
Does he talk to water or fish? Which one?
But did no one fucking learn? Don't have people with the same fucking powers every goddamn time. Mix it up a bit. But they don't. And so, yeah, I was sitting in the theater like, oh, look, it's Ocean Master. Let me guess, he's super strong. He swims real fast too. There we go. So yeah, and then the big climatic fight where you've got we're riding giant sharks and he's happened to be riding a Chronosaurus and we have all this stuff and we're fighting crab people and the giant crab thing. It was just like, oh god, I know you're trying to do a big spectacle, but it's under the ocean. No one's noticing on the surface. Nothing's floating to the surface. People are going, hey, look at that. And then we have the final fight on the upside down. One of their ships upside down just happens to, and now that they're fighting in the air, he's at a disadvantage. It just, yeah. And then of course he uses the special move that his mentor taught him and then deflects all attacks. And you think, did no one else know this move? No one else? No one could have taught it to Ocean Master at any point in his life? Because nice to see both of them twirling their staff and no one's attacking. It's like, this doesn't work now. We got to actually do something. Yeah, so there was a lot of like little plot points like that, and Amber Heard's character, zero development of that character, like zero. You could have just taken a cardboard cutout and just placed it in the scenes where she needed to be, because she had that much character development. It was the same character from the start that we had at the end. She had zero character arc. Also, the whole thing at the end where after he's won and she turns and she suddenly like flicks on the broadcast mode of her voice and can broadcast to everyone really loudly that, well, welcome your new king. It's a very cringeworthy moment where you're just like, really? Did someone just hand her a megaphone to say this incredibly cheesy line about welcome your new king? Yeah, I wanted to like this movie so much. I was hoping that DC would finally, get something better than a fly ball.
Eventually we got Wonder Woman.
Yeah, that's just it. Like we had Wonder Woman and I was like, I knew Shazam was coming down and I was like, all right, Aquaman, here we go. This is, another dinger. Let's see it. And it got to the outfield, but didn't pass the wall for me. So
I have a serious question. What would this movie be like if James Cameron directed it? He'd be down in the ocean with cameras and submarines and have the divers swimming around. And...
Oh, he totally, yeah.
Well, it's almost like when people keep claiming that the Kubrick shot the moon landing footage. The problem is Kubrick likes to shoot on set, so they would have had to fly to the moon to shoot it. So same thing with Cameron. He would have insisted on using that giant tank in Mexico and have everyone deep under the fucking water the whole time. And a lot of we hear stories of actor almost drowns as air tank fails.
I wonder if the TVA has that movie on file somewhere.
So yeah, there were a lot of really interesting visuals, like seeing Aquaman in the gold and green. That was a nice iconic moment.
Yeah.
But there were so few far in between, and it just felt like you start out with you've got to stop Ocean Master, and then suddenly dun, 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 we have an Indiana Jones section, and then hey, we're back into the ocean for the big fight, and it just felt like the movie couldn't find the voice it needed. It just kept, it's like a third of the way through, you got someone narrating and someone else steps in and goes, "Oh, I'll take over now," and then, "Oh, I'll take over," and it just kept changing narrators and changing tones of film. I just felt like I was watching 4 or 5 films kind of half-ass edited together to make one long film. So that's my impression.
All right. So in comparison to that, we end up with 2019's 2 hours and 9 minute long Spider-Man Far From Home. So following the events of the events of Avengers Endgame, because of course this movie picks up basically right after Endgame has, I guess, ended, Spider-Man must step up and take on new threats in the world that has changed forever. So we've got, like you said, it not only is it the follow-up to Endgame, it is also the much wanted sequel to Homecoming for Spider-Man. And who wants to start on this one? Mike, did you see this one?
I did, but Gavin put his hand up first. Go, Gavin.
There's a lot of things I liked about it. The story, it sort of gave an organic reason why Peter Parker was in Europe. It gave some of the best throwaway lines just to say, "Yeah, you're the only guy we have. Thor is off planet. So and so is somewhere else, and so is It just gave a much more reasonable indicator why it was left up to Night Monkey. Spider-Man. The little touches everywhere were fantastic. Every so often if you weren't watching for him, you'd see Quentin Beck just somewhere in the background, but you don't realize it until after all of this stuff has been happening. And I think one of my favorite bits about that is oh fuck! Sorry, I have a brain fart. I'm just gonna.
We can either edit that out, or we can get Troy to add a sound effect.
What, the swearing? Are you talking the swearing or what?
No, the brain fart.
Oh, the brain fart.
Oh, the brain fart part.
There is a point I was trying. Oh, okay, I remember what I was going to say.
Oh, here we go.
The fact that Tony Stark gave Peter Parker glasses that could control a fucking defense system that surrounds the Earth. Don't you think Tony Stark would have had a better person in mind than like a 16-year-old kid?
Spider-Man's pretty cool.
Sure. But I mean, he practically nuked his class.
True.
So.
But he didn't.
True.
All right. So, Mike, what do you got to say about Far From Home?
Okay. So, first off, following Endgame is a tough job. Like, the movie that comes out after that, people are going to go to theaters and say, okay, what comes after this? How can you possibly follow that up? And then you have the whole class thing about everybody returning from the snap. The way they did that and worked that into the movie was genius, because they brought so many elements from Endgame in, set the tone, and then got right on with the movie. I thought that was really good.
There was a throwaway line of, "My younger brother's now older than me. He's graduating high school."
It's so good. All these people showing up to their homes, but someone's already moved in because it's been vacant for 5 years. All that kind of stuff is crazy. But they pulled it off within a couple minutes. And we've talked about this in other episodes where you're trying to bring people up to speed on all these characters and ideas. It's hard to introduce all these ideas. But this movie did it just like that. Like, this is what's happened. The world's completely crazy. And let's get on with the movie. So that was fun. The fact that we're now in 2 movies of the Marvel Spider-Man that's not in New York, that's crazy, right? Because it was a little bit of overload with the 2 previous versions. It's just, Spider-Man swinging around New York fighting a guy. Like, no. So Homecoming was a breath of fresh air. And now this one where he's overseas on a vacation. It reminds me of like, Home Alone 2. It's like, oh, you were at home and now you're somewhere else. Or European Vacation. It's like, hey, it's the same movie, but somewhere else. But they did it well and it was exciting. And it gets me hyped for Spider-Man 3. It's like, hopefully he swings around New York. I know it's all multiverse, but hopefully he gets back to New York. Mysterio was amazing. And again, they did the same thing as the first movie where they had that big villain reveal, which is so iconic for Spider-Man, right? Where in the first one is Vulture and you get that moment in the car. This one, you get Mysterio in the bar where he gives his evil plan. It's like, oh, come on. That's the second time they've done this and they did it amazing. So there's that. I wish they had the alien symbiote. Again, we've talked about this before. He easily could have brought it back from space, and instead of Spider Monkey or Night Monkey, we could have had black suit Spider-Man Venom. They didn't do that. That's unfortunate. But overall, huge fan of this movie.
Mr. Brown?
I went into this movie with a lot of hope. A lot of hope, because Mysterio was always not even, he was like a D-ranked villain. He's a ex-stuntman who uses basically Hollywood tricks to try to do his crimes. And I was always like, And then they said, well, Mysterio is going to be the villain in this movie. Mysterio was going to be in this movie. And I was like, well, okay, we're going to see some cheesy Hollywood stuntman with some smoke projectors and maybe some mirrors. And
he was always my favorite. Okay.
And he shows up and claims he's from a different dimension.
Yes.
And he uses magic like Doctor Strange, and he's fighting off these giant elementals. And I was like, oh, okay. I mean, they've really given Mysterio an overhaul. And when they got, I also had a problem with those Edith glasses being handed to Peter Parker. There were other people that Tony Stark could have bequeathed those to. That's like, you're handing the keys to the arsenal to a 16-year-old, or even.
But he's Spider-Man.
Yeah, no. Still subject to hormonal urges. So when they got to the bar scene, he hands the glass over leaves and they have the big celebration, and then we see the plan and the fact that Mysterio actually worked for Stark and he was part of BARF, that simulated reality that we saw in Iron Man 3.
That was amazing.
It was a nice connection, but it kind of cheapened the character for me. I wanted him to be from a different multiverse. Make that first crack into this was our first chance to see multiverse characters. I wanted to see Mysterio from the multiverse, but kind of like the DC Booster Gold, he's from the future and decides to come to the past and be a hero. I wanted to see Mysterio from another universe, like from the multiverse. In his multiverse, he's the villain, but he's here acting as the hero because there's stuff he's after the Edith glasses because they will work back in his universe. So those elementals are creatures that he's creating to fight so that he can convince S.H.I.E.L.D. and Spider-Man to get the glasses, because then he's going to go back to his home world and take it over.
Well, I have to cut in here because that's my view is the exact opposite of that. I thought they were going to do the crack in the multiverse. I was like, oh no, don't do that. When I found it was all an illusion, I was so happy. So that's interesting.
After you found out that this is all, all smoke and mirror sort of thing, seeing him in a 3D tracking suit from that point on, I kind of laughed because I'm like, he'd be wearing that anyway.
Yeah.
That was, to me, was a fun in-joke, but I just felt that they had a chance to make this character better than he was. And because we didn't really have any other villains, and the things is, the whole Night Monkey thing, but there was nothing occupying Peter Parker, really, other than he was trying to keep his identity from his friends and they found out and yada yada. I mean, May already knew, and her and Hogan might have had something going on, or something. It kind of felt a little hollow. That I like the fact that they were dealing with the post snap. I would have liked to have seen the fact that he had to replace the suit that he had in Endgame because it was too damaged to continue. Maybe he went back a couple stages. The whole thing where he built the new suit in the plane was kind of like, man, it's nice to have those kind of 3D printers in a plane.
That reminded me of Spider-Man and his Amazing Friends. Where the apartment turned around and there's all the high technology. It's like, oh, please give us that in Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, but it's just I just wanted Mysterio to be a better villain. Now this movie did have one of the nice things at the end when he and MJ go swimming and she is freaked out by him swinging. She is she's like, never again. And then the reappearance of J. Jonah Jameson.
That was amazing. Like total Alex Jones.
The rest of the movie could have been absolute garbage. The second J. Jonah Jameson popped up on the screen, and it was the J. Jonah Jameson we all know and love, I was like, all right, movie's great. I'm good. I'm perfectly good. We know he's J. Jonah Jameson. That's all it took for me.
I do wish he had the hair.
Yeah. And this set up exactly of Spider-Man 3, where we have our reports of, we got Doc Ock, we got Electro. It's going to be the whole the sequence of, you're Spider-Man. Spider-Man goes swinging behind him. Maybe not, because there goes Spider-Man. And you know that they're going to use that. They're going to do that in some way. Like,
please have Daredevil
swinging by, or Tobey Maguire swinging by, and they're like, well, there's Spider-Man. You can't be him. Yeah, they're going to use that. It's such a cliched thing, but it's something, if it doesn't happen, we're going to be like, oh. So, yeah, that was my impression.
One thing I'll sort of say regarding the whole Mysterio as the villain side, just speaking outside of the movie itself, like the entire comic book nerd population, as soon as they saw that Mysterio was in the movie, they're like, oh, he's the bad guy. He's clearly the bad guy. And then you see the trailer for the first time. This is Mysterio. He's from another dimension or another universe. And you're like,
yep.
But okay, okay, that's kind of cool. No. Okay, he's gonna fuck him over somehow. But maybe he doesn't. But what if he does? Oh no, he's Mysterio. He's gonna do it. He's gonna fuck him over. But maybe he doesn't. Like it was one of the best sort of is he or isn't he kind of casting / revealing moments I've seen. Because
for me, it was
he's a villain.
They had me 100%.
When they had Mysterio and you see him using magic, I was like, maybe this is their answer to having Doctor Doom. This was a chance to have Doctor Doom without having to. At that time, they didn't have Fox kind of like rolled in their pocket yet. They still
now they do.
Now they do, but the time, if you had Mysterio with magical powers from a different dimension, he's like, okay, maybe a little bit of a Doctor Doom-esque sort of thing, because the armor was very Doom-like.
Yep.
And that's where I was kind of like, okay, this is where we crack the multiverse. This is where we get to see some different things happening. Maybe even at the end, he chucks Spidey into his old universe. And, maybe then the third movie is Spider-Man trapped in the multiverse trying to make his way back to his original home. And this is where
that's still coming. Don't worry about that. Troy, what did you think? You've been awfully quiet.
Yeah, it was a good movie.
All right. See you next week, folks.
So no, there's really nothing more that I could say that you guys haven't already said about it. I mean, pretty much everything that I want to say has already been said. I mean, it was entertaining. It was a fantastic follow-up. First of all, not only as a sequel, which was also hard to do, because coming up as a sequel to like Homecoming is going to be a feat on its own. Following up on Endgame is going to be an almost impossible to do. But again, in the first few minutes of it, they show how the world has reacted, how it is recovering from the tribute, the stuff that has gone down through Endgame. Again, introducing everyone that disappeared and came back 5 years later, sort of thing. I mean, classmates that are different ages that are interacting with each other is fantastic. One of my favorite things is friggin' Thompson Flash being like denied his drink because while his passport says he's 5 years older, that he was part of the blip. Mary J tells him, well, he's part of the blip, so he's really 5 years younger, and his drink gets taken away from him instantly. Stuff like that is just so beautifully done. I was a little hesitant with the whole entire let's make up a way to get into Europe sort of thing. It was nice to see more Sam Jackson and more Kobe Smulders reprising their roles. That was also something I wasn't expecting either. I don't know.
Skrulls, no less.
Skrulls was fantastic of an idea too. And then again, if you're getting out of the situation, why don't you just have a Skrull go by as Spider-Man as well while Peter Parker's there? This is well before like the multiverse of madness idea was even out there. You can simply, you have Skrulls. You are working with Skrulls. And then the friggin' not even a Fury being on Earth. He's like off somewhere in the universe with the whole entire Skrull army sort of thing.
That was such a great ending.
Yeah, I mean,
again, they could have introduced the symbiote at that point.
True, and again, I agree with you 100%, Mike. Symbiote suit from Endgame would have been perfect.
It would have been fun, but it still works without it.
Oh no, for sure. One of the other things that I really enjoyed about this movie is because they did a lot of press that was both Tom Holland and Jake Gyllenhaal, and they together, their interviews, their chemistry was fantastic. Like the real actors really worked well together in all the interviews that I saw. And then when you start in the movie, you have that in the background that they work so well together and like, wait, this might be a good guy Mysterio. This is actually kind of cool. I like this idea. This is kind of cool. He's from another dimension. He's got magic. He is what Mysterio in the comic books always wanted to be. Not the special effects guy, just this guy that from another dimension that happens to have all these powers. And again, the instant they're sitting down in the bar and you can see it in Peter's face, I'm like, oh, fuck, Mysterio's a bad guy. Like that whole entire thing. But Mysterio is a brilliant bad guy because he has everyone working with him for a reason, and he has the right people working with him, and they pull off this spectacular thing. And then when we get to the reveal where they're practicing and the effects aren't going right, and they're like, he's like, come on guys, we've got to get this working and all that sort of thing. That's how it would be so amazing. And it was an entertaining movie that we got to see all different sides. Now, I will, however, say that I didn't enjoy the special effects ending. The whole entire computer-generated Parker in the Mysterio world looked a little too cartoony. It was a little too stretch, and like the computer-generated stuff just looked a little too stretchy. It looked a little too off-model at points. I didn't really feel like I was in a dream sequence. I've seen some really cool dream sequences that have been done in a practical sense, and it would have been really cool to see that with some pretty cool cuts and light changes and all that sort of thing. But this whole entire computer-generated thing, not so much fun. Getting hit by the train, that was fantastic. Getting hit by the train was great. But that whole entire sequence before, the unseen recording of Spider-Man shooting Mysterio was great. That was a nice little added little bonus piece. Hey, everything's okay. And then all of a sudden the video goes up and again, J. Jonah Jameson, like you cannot. J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson again is just like phenomenal. It's what was missing from The Amazing Spider-Man. There was no J. Jonah Jameson. And to have J.K. Simmons reprising the role was fantastic. Yeah, to have Mysterio screw over Spider-Man like that at the end, and to end it on that note, it's like, what? Wait, what? It was a great movie. And I mean, I didn't see it. I've only seen it once. I hate to say, I've seen Aquaman more times than I've seen Spider-Man Far From Home, and I don't know why, because I enjoyed it so much more than Aquaman. But there's just something about not needing to see it anymore, because I think I got everything out of it that I needed to. I don't think there was anything more that I needed to see. You know what I'm saying? It was like, that was it. I don't want to.
Oh, for me, I saw that one multiple times.
Well, no.
Even in theaters, I saw it multiple times for that one.
See, I saw it once, and my fear is if I see it a second time, I'm going to like it less.
That's what I'm getting at. I liked what I saw. I don't want to go in there and realize, because now that I know, right now that whole entire reveal of him being the actual bad guy, I'll see the points. I'll see the behind the wall. I'll see through the smoke and mirrors and all that.
It's like watching The Usual Suspects.
Oh, for me, the second time was better because you're kind of in on the joke and you see all the subtleties. So I did enjoy it even more the second time.
Okay, I'll give you that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that if you look at it from that point of view, I guess I never thought of it from that point of view. I was probably thinking
it's true. You don't like the event, the reveal. You don't get the same impact.
Yeah.
But watching it, knowing the ending and knowing where the story goes and seeing what they do to kind of set it up and all the different plot points, like same thing with Homecoming. You know, that moment in the car where you realize he's the Vulture.
Oh no, that
you only get that moment once and you never get it again.
Yeah.
Same with Darth Vader. You know, I am your father. You only get that once.
Wait, what? Who's his father?
Oh, a spoiler, right? Spoiler. This is spoiler cast. We can say that.
Yes.
Yeah. So you can only have that moment once, but when you see it again, and you see all the points that lead up to it, like it still holds together.
Okay. Yeah. No. It's not that I'm not going to see it again. I'll more than likely rewatch it again before the third movie comes out, because I'll definitely watch, or probably, hopefully, theaters will be open to be able to watch the trilogy in the theaters. Ooh. But yeah, so I mean, it's not that I think the only reason that I haven't seen it is because I just want what I've seen already of it. I want that perfect viewing of it. I mean, it was fun. It was entertaining. I got everything out of it. I got the emotion out of it. I got the entertainment out of it. I got, again, that whole entire, oh, maybe he is the good guy. Oh, he is the bad guy. Oh, Marvel, you did it to us again.
But the Peter MJ stuff was good too.
Yes,
that was
MJ
so
stuff.
clunky and awkward and teenager.
The way that Zendika changes her character when she finally figures out that Parker is Spider-Man, the way she acts around him is so beautifully done. Like, up until that point, she's all like, whatever, Parker, you're a loser, sort of thing, and all that. And then when she finally figures it out, she's all of a sudden dumbstruck. She's like,
and what did she say? It's like, I was 60% sure. Like, she acted like she kind of knew it all along, but it was like, no, it was just.
Yeah.
I was going to say, though, if you're going to watch it in theaters, don't you have to watch Civil War, Homecoming, Infinity Gauntlet, or Infinity War, Endgame, and then Far From Home, this one, and then, if you're going to watch them all and get the whole Spider-Man effect, you got to.
All right, Troy gets a marathon. Yeah.
Yeah, 6 films. Come on, you can do it.
Okay.
I see this as an absolute win.
Dude,
one thing.
Yes, Kevin?
Once again, the Far From Home proves that if Tony Stark is a dick to someone, they're probably going to end up being a supervillain.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. No doubt about it. Yeah.
Just he makes supervillains left and right.
Yeah.
Well, not anymore.
Well, we don't know.
We don't know.
There's still some more he could probably have made, and now we're going to see them.
Mandarin's coming out soon, right?
Yeah.
All right. So from the conversation, I'm going to think we're all on the one side, right? What movie's going to move on?
Aquaman.
Spider-Man.
Oh, Spider-Man. Right, Spider-Man.
Far From Aquaman?
All right.
Yes.
So with Spider-Man Far From Home, moving on, that actually ends our first round of bracket of rounds and all that. So moving on to our next bracket of rounds, round 9 is going to get us probably the biggest one that I think we can come up with, and it's going to be the Avengers Endgame versus the Avengers Infinity War.
Oh, gee.
Oh no.
Oh, that's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, that's our next one.
How did they?
Oh, jeez.
So just to get you guys backed up on how we got to this.
How
so
would they?
round
be on
one.
opposite sides?
Round one was Avengers Endgame versus Batman versus Superman. And round two was Avengers Infinity War, which was our second movie on the list, versus Spider-Man Homecoming.
Wouldn't they be opposite? Because usually it's one, you go 1, 2, 3, 4. They're on opposite sides. So 1 and 2 can't face each other until the very end if that ever happens.
You are so right that I did that wrong. Okay, you know what? I'll just rewrite this and I'll figure out what it is later. Ooh, it'll be a mystery round next week for you guys when I figure out what the hell I did wrong here. Yes, you are correct, Trevor. I just
realized, I was thinking that if they're 1 and 2, there's no way they can meet in the second round. They'd have to.
Yeah. No, you are correct. You are correct. I have messed up my whole entire bracketing system, so I'm going to rewrite this and
write it out for us.
I did.
Trevor was looking for the image.
I did have it written out, and I just realized that when you pointed out like that, I did write it in the wrong position. I wrote up and down instead of side to side. Well, silly me. But
so, just as a side thing, so it's Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Far From Home, Spider-Man No Way Home, then Spider-Man Home with a question mark.
Yes, I see how that goes. Yes.
Or Spider-Man Renting, because at this point,
Spider-Man Renting. Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, give me a second here, guys. Let me just I'll rewrite this. So that would be 1, 2, 3.
That it will be an interesting matchup if Infinity War has to take on Endgame.
That would be crazy.
5,
because there's so much that goes on in each film.
And I'm sure we'll get to that point eventually.
Okay.
Oh yeah, or close to it.
So Endgame. And that is Infinity War. Okay, so it'll be Endgame versus the Avengers.
Oh boy. Carry the
That's
two.
still a good match.
That is.
And then it'll be Infinity War versus Age of Ultron.
Oof, that's another tough one.
And that leaves us with
What's that feedback?
Yeah, I'm hearing feedback.
Sorry,
Oh,
it just
it's
completely
gone.
dropped out for me.
Or I'll post that in the chat. It'd be cool if we can get an infographic like the.
Yeah. Now here's an odd thing. So Disney Plus has basically all of the Marvel Universe films, yes? But they have 0 of the Spider-Man films. They don't have Homecoming. They don't have No Way Home.
Yeah, because that's all Sony, right?
Yeah.
I can't hear you, Troy. No
He's
audio.
No audio.
Oh, almost. Getting
there.
better. Yeah, there you go.
Here we go.
How about now?
Yes.
Yeah, we hear
Can
you.
you hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
How long haven't you guys heard me?
We didn't know what you were talking
For about the last 2 hours.
Okay, then good. So apparently, when I believe the new deal that Sony, Marvel, and Disney have is that when whatchamacallit, the third movie, No Way Home, is being released onto streaming, that Disney is going to be able to also release the other 2 Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. So you still have to wait.
On Hulu.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I guess Sony will get their cut through that.
Yes, exactly. That's basically the idea. Yeah. Okay, so
I have to say, Sony's making bank on these films
they are. Oh yeah. Yeah.
because Disney's footing the bill, but Sony's getting the profits.
All because they own the rights. All because they still own the rights. Okay, so for next week's matchup in the next set of brackets, we got it's going to be Avengers Endgame versus Marvel's The Avengers. So that's going to be our matchup for next week, folks. So I'm just going to hop on to see if there's any media information here. I'll just check to see if anyone has said, hey, hi, ho there, guys. How's everything going? Let's see. We'll check our Facebook, which I should have already had open, but I did not because I joined late today. Let's see. Boom, ba-doom, 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 ba-doom. So when's the podcast that your kids are releasing starting, John? John. What?
Who's John?
I don't know. It's related to Kevin, I think.
I don't know. What time is it now? Oh, it's 1:45. Nothing on Facebook. Your kids, Mike. When is it?
So they just posted it up on YouTube today.
Okay,
it's
cool.
Something they recorded last night, so it's just a random thing that they do.
Okay, cool.
The latest one was Naruto, Boruto, Brother Talk at Night, Unpopular Opinions and Theories. So I posted that on Planet Geek.
Gotcha. Yes. So they've done
Kev, what's your next video game? Kev? What's your next video game?
Kevin.
Kev, come on. Kev, tell us what's your next video game you're going to get. Are you going to get the new Metroid?
Oh, Metroid Dread? Hell yeah.
Yeah, Kev.
It's late, folks.
Yeah, it is. It is very late. Okay, nothing there, and I'm just gonna check.
Hey, Kevin's ignoring me, guys.
Kevin is ignoring you. Yes, I think he's deliberately ignoring you.
Are you going to get Metroid Prime or the new Metroid there, Gav?
Yes, I am.
I'm already on the watch list for it.
Well, I know you're on a watch list, but definitely.
As in Nintendo, what is going to tell me when I can?
Oh, okay.
Purchase.
No, I'm gonna have to get the physical copy.
I get the digital copies now because I've got like a 4 terabyte card in the back of the Switch. It's got plenty of memory.
Oh, it's a Switch game?
Yeah.
I've only got 64 gigs.
Oh, I maxed out the size of the memory card because I knew I was going to be more digital because those little things are just too easy to lose.
And they taste wonderful.
Yes. And I have little kids who will be like, "Oh, Harrison, no!" Oh, there goes Mario Kart.
One of my buddies who lives in London, he was looking at the Switch that I'd gotten for Christmas, and so he's like, he kind of leans in. He goes like, he looks around us. So have you licked one? It's like, no. They taste pretty bad, I hear. Can I lick one? It's like, I pull the cartridge out and I'm like, okay, here you go. So he's like, oh, that's gross. It's like, you did this to yourself.
You knew going into it what the end result was going to be, so you have no one to blame but yourself. Yeah. All right, so I think that's about time for a collective goodbye, guys. I believe we can do that. Do we need the countdown, or should we? Is that part of our goodbye? Is the countdown part of our goodbye?
I don't know.
Until we get it right, I think it should be.
Yeah. At this point,
who knows what that'll be?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. All right. So, and again, as always, in 3, 2, 1.
Collective goodbye.
Good night, folks.
You did it on purpose, didn't you? That was almost good, guys. All right.
Oh, Gavin.
There you go. That's a long one. Ooh.
You have just been listening to Geeking Off the Page with your hosts, Mike Kitchen, Gavin Burbage, Trevor Brown, and Troy Bowman. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Also, if you could leave us a rating and comment, that would assist in allowing others to find this podcast more easily. You can follow the podcast on the following social platforms: Instagram and Twitter, search for @PlanetGeekPod, all one word. On Facebook, search for Planet Geek Productions. Or you can send us an email to planetgeekpod@gmail.com. Buy the guys a coffee by going to Ko-Fi, ko-fi.com/PlanetGeekPod. And know that any and all donations will go towards improving all current and future Planet Geek Productions programs. Thank you for listening.